Hello and good evening to you all, longtime NRL viewers and newcomers the world over. Welcome to the second round of the NRL sixth season, and boy is this one shaping up to be a fun one. My name is Toon and I am accompanied by the lovely Slow-Mo and the equally as lovely Leo. Slow-Mo, my boy, we have an interesting set of races ahead of us for today. How are you feeling about it?
Very excited for both of these. We're definitely going to see some exciting action through both tracks. Lots of tight racing, as we always have with the NRL. So really looking forward to tonight's races. Thanks, Tim.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree. This is going to be very, very exciting without a shadow of a doubt. Now, Leo, we're only at round 2 so far, and the combinations have already been just completely out of left field. How are you feeling about not only the combinations for tonight, but all the ones we've seen for the season thus far?
Tune, it's been an odd kind of combinations, and I'm kind of liking them all. One was the car that we're in tonight. Didn't even know existed until 2 weeks ago. And of course, who doesn't love a good dirt track and a good rally and a rally car that I didn't know it was there either. So I'm learning new things about the game that I didn't know about. So I love it.
Yeah, I definitely share your sentiments with that, and that also goes to show people, watch the NRL. You'll learn something new every broadcast. Now, before we get into the race details for our first race, we would like to take a moment to thank our fantastic sponsors for this season. I would like to start off with thanking the DGDR podcast. This high-octane weekly podcast is where 4 drivers from the PDX Sim team take you inside the world of motorsport and sim racing. From breaking news to heated debates, wild stories to pro tips, these guys cover it all with passion, humor, and just the right amount of chaos. For your podcast fix, these are available on all platforms with new weekly episodes dropped every Monday. I would also like to thank Hankey's Tavern, situated in charming Old Town Florissant in St. Louis, Missouri. If great food, great drinks, and great company are what you're looking for, then look no further than Hankey's Tavern. If you're in the St. Louis area, then stop on by and watch the NRL broadcast live on their many large screen TVs and let them know that the NRL sent you. I'd also like to thank Little J CPA, turning streams and side hustles into smart money moves. Whether you're building a small business, growing a brand, or cashing in on streaming income, we'll help you track earnings, maximize deductions, and keep more of what you've worked for. You focus on building, we'll handle the numbers. We also want to send a special thank you to Lithograph Comics. Lithograph Comics is not a store, but a comic book enthusiast, bringing awareness to the hobby and the comic book collecting community. Located on Instagram, you will find Greg, aka Litho, sharing comic book history, stories, and his personal collection spanning a 35-year comic book journey. That is Lithograph Comics on Instagram. Scan the QR code on screen for more information. We'd also love to extend a special thank you to the Mist Chronicles. Written by Lawrence Brown, better known as Tuzzenbox, embark on an epic journey as we accompany Mist, a young man trained by his father in the art of swordsmanship. After honing his skills at a weapons academy, he became a wandering traveler, exploring new lands and meeting new people. During his travel, Mist witnesses a catastrophic event that engrosses him in a grand plot that can mean the difference between the safety of his family, friends, and homeland, or the destruction of not just his home, but the entire planet. The Mist Chronicles trilogy is available on Amazon in paperback and Kindle formats. Thank you all so much for your support this season. Now, with all of that said and done, let's get into the nitty-gritty of what our drivers will be going up against for Division B tonight. For our Division B Round 2 race, our drivers are at lovely Brands Hatch, the Mini Nürburgring to many, in the Bulgari Aluminum VGT, or I guess in Britain it is the Aluminium. They will be on Sports Soft and Sports Medium tires for a whopping 40 laps with 14 times tire, 4 times fuel consumption, a refuel rate of 5 liters a second. That will play a factor. DOP will be on, damage will be heavy, and they will have a 10-minute qualifier. Now moving on over to the points allocation. Slow-Mo, would you please enlighten all of us?
The drivers are acquiring points through each race they run through the season. Those points total up to get them in position, hopefully into the finals. You'll see there on the screen, our race winner is going to get 25 points. Second place will get 18 points. Third place for 15, and down the line you'll see there below. Also, our top 14 overall division leaders after the third round are the ones that are going to be able to move on to the finals. There's a fastest lap point out there as well for these guys, but they have to be in the top 10 to get it.
Thank you, Slow-Mo. Now making our way over to the driver lineup for tonight's festivities, we have Corridor 71, Fernando Button, Hondo, IORT Fishtail, MK3TT SKR, NVR Crewlub 11, PHG Strict 9, Santa Miguel, Sheldologist, Stumpy, Sugar Shuffles, and Zilla. Listed next to their names are their YouTube and or Twitch presences should they be applicable. Feel free to go and check these channels out, see if they're streaming their POV, but please make sure that you leave this tab unmuted so you don't miss any of the racing action. Now, lastly, before we get into the Division B qualifier, we would like to take a moment to honor someone near and dear to many of us in the NRL and the PHG communities. Susan Bowe, also known to many of us as Grandmarazzi, sadly departed us while we were on our break. We here at the NRL all want to extend our sincere condolences to Papa and his family, and you will also notice a QR code floating around that will send you to the GoFundMe to help support Papa and his family during this time while they try and recover. And we would also like all of you to please join us in observing a special parade lap in her memory. Thank you to everyone who helped make that possible. Susan, you will be dearly missed. Yeah, it still stings a bit, Leo, if I'm honest. Is there anything you'd like to say?
You know, dude, I would like to say a few things. She will be dearly missed. You know, behind every great man, there's either their partner, their special person. And Papa's done a lot for everybody. But not only him, she did as well. Whether keeping us in line through some of the meetings that we've had within the PHG, I distinctly remember us coming up with crazy ideas and her being like, now boys, y'all need to chill out on that. And that voice of reason, that person to turn to, it's going to be something dearly missed, and I won't ever forget her.
I don't think any of us will. She has left a very lasting impact on all the communities that her and Papa have touched. It's even showing with those watching at home. And to those of you watching at home, thank you for sharing this moment with all of us. But there was one thing that Miss Susan always loved more than most things, and that was great racing. So I say tonight, all of our drivers, and even tomorrow's drivers, let's leave it all on the table. Give our best racing we can. Let's do it for Miss Susan, for Miss Grandma Razzi. Now, slow-mo, we've got a car that is very squirrely. We're on a track that is not the easiest to overtake on, but it is the short version. They're here for 40 laps. In egregious tire wear on paper. I mean, they're sports tires. They burn off pretty slowly. Do you think we're going to be seeing a lot of argy-bargy, or do you think these tires are going to start getting the better of some of these drivers as the race progresses?
No, I think you're definitely going to see the tires get the better of the lap times as these guys get through. So really curious to see what kind of strategies these guys are coming out with. I mean, ultimately, I've talked to a few of the drivers. I think some of them are starting on mediums, but I guess we'll see how that plays out. It could be a race time decision for these guys. To your point, the tire wear does seem like it's a lot. The car doesn't tear them up quite as fast, so you almost have to really plan your pit stop to with what your gas is going to be. I don't even know if they're going to need too much fuel through this, so it's going to be exciting. There's while we know there's not a lot of room here, you're also talking about some of the best drivers out here with Gran Turismo that they find space sometimes. So I'm excited to see where these guys can make some room.
I'm definitely excited to see how this goes. I've never seen this car in action. I've never even heard of this car. I wouldn't be surprised if Mignotti just called up Kaz and said, "Hey, can you make up a car for NRL Season 6?" And he was just like, "Yeah, sure, I got you." Because, I had no idea this car was even a thing. Leo, have you taken any laps in this thing?
Toon, I actually have. I've done quite a few laps. Let's see, Tuesday we had fun with a week ago with T-Case. We actually use this car in his lobbies that he does. And this thing's actually a rocket ship. It's got 7 gears and it can use almost all of them. It's a little squirrely under braking, but it does like to accelerate quite quickly. So these drivers are going to have to keep that in mind. Do not touch the grass on this track, by the way, guys. You will spin out into the ether. So good luck on that one.
Well, what's getting me is it's pretty much a VGT track day car. So it's kind of, if on the surface, because I haven't played with the car whatsoever, or even looked into the car because, well, it's a VGT car. To me, it's pretty much like if we take I don't know, KTM crossbow or like a BAC mono and gave it the VGT treatment. So, I mean, those track day cars, amazing. Like, if you don't want to do a daily race, but you still want to do some racing and you don't feel like doing the offline stuff, hop in one of the track day cars with some of your friends. Just throw on whatever tires, whatever track, whatever. Just go and throw those things around because they are properly good cars to just mess around with. And so that's what's got me hopeful about this, but I just do not know about this car, period. So I'm hoping we see some close racing, but with a car that light on tires that slippery, I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see as qualifying is now underway. Who will be the first one leaving the pits? Looks like we've got Corridor, Fernando, Miguel, Stumpy, Fishtail. We've got everybody coming on out. Looks like drivers giving each other plenty of room as they come on down turn 1. I've heard that turn 1 for Brands Hatch is a lot steeper than it looks, and I honestly, just looking at pictures, I do believe no racing sim really does it justice, because it looks like a gentle decline, but from like all the pictures I've seen and like onboard race footage from like, you know, British GT and things of that nature, it's like you're just plummeting off a cliff, at least almost. So as we get the hot laps underway, Corridor will be taking charge and coming on down turn 1, sitting in 4th gear and using all the track afforded to him, but he's got to be careful. The track limits on that spot are a little wonky. Coming into Druids and keeping it nice and neat, almost staying off the curb on the left. And coming into, oh Lord, that name will come to me here in a minute. Yeah, Corridor is just dancing around the track right now, and I think he's going to be setting a pretty solid time. Just given the short nature of this track, slow-mo, do you think these drivers can afford to miss any sectors, or do you think just due to the sheer length of it, every sector has to be absolutely bang on?
Well, I mean, it is very short, and what you're talking about is just itty-bitty fractions of changes that they're making through some of these sections in most cases. You know, I mean, personally, I wouldn't be surprised, and there you go, Corridor putting up a 46.8. I was going to say I wouldn't be surprised if you're seeing somebody in mid 46s. I don't know if they're going to break that, but that would be exciting. These guys are, you know, and again, expect the top 5 to be within what, a tenth of each other.
Yeah, I think within a tenth of each other is going to be around the baseline as we see Sugar Shovels coming around Graham Hill Bend. There we go, name came back to me. We're good, we're in business. Now heading up into Surtees, Sugar Shuffles is dancing from curb to curb. He's about a quarter of a second down on his personal fastest lap, but seeing as how these laps are literally under a minute, it really should be no problem whatsoever. Looking on screen at the driver card, Sugar Shuffles is a lifelong free agent. We last saw him in round 1 where he scored P3. He currently has 15 points overall throughout this season, so plenty of points to be had, and I think we're going to be seeing some shakeups, especially with combinations such as this. I know, Leo, does it get more out of the box than this?
You know, it can. I'm sure it will. It's the NRL. Anything can and will happen. I don't know. I hope so. I do like the oddity races. I'm starting to become more like our fellow commentator and love the odd stuff, and not specifically to race cars.
No, that is fair. As we jump on board with Hondo, who's heading up into Surtees, and I believe that's called McLaren, going up into Clark Curve. Hi, English. Now, speaking of oddities, Leo, did you happen to see the rear wing reacting to the downforce?
I did. It's like an active arrow that pops up when these guys get heavy on the brakes. I don't know if that's just a fancy thing or if it actually does anything. That may explain why the car under heavy braking doesn't want to turn.
You know what? That could honestly be part of the reason. And Bulgari's not a car manufacturer, right? They make watches.
Correct. I believe they're a watchmaking company. So I believe this was a partnership between Gran Turismo and GT with them to make a watch of some sort. I don't know. It's beyond my thought of what they're doing.
Yeah. It's not a collaboration that I would, expect. But with how ambitious Gran Turismo is with these collabs, it just makes me wonder what other lesser known, like I guess lesser known isn't the right word, native entities, I guess, because they're not motorsport related, because there's that Dior car, There's the 2 Bulgaris. Honestly, what's next? Could we see a Chanel hot hatch? A Chanel VGT?
Oh?
I mean, it would be interesting. Now, taking a look at the overall timing board right now as we hit the latter half of this qualifying session, Sheld is leading with a 46.752, but Stumpy's about to throw a wrench in all that because it looks like if Stumpy keeps this up, he'll be setting a 46.5. Is he going to be able to make it, though? Coming up into Surtees yet again and over into Clark Curve. Looks like it's dropped to 1/8 or almost 0.2 of a second. But, oh, Stumpy's getting a really square. Oh, that is going to cost him dearly. Leo, is this MR or FR? Because that was some insane weight transfer.
I believe it's MR. It kind of acts like a rear-engine, rear-wheel drive vehicle, though, so I'm not entirely too sure. But I think your description of a track day car of those two combined is about the perfect description for this vehicle, the one you were describing earlier.
Oh, the crossbow and the mono? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. The more I see them four-wheel drifting it, though, it's honestly leaning more towards the radical. And so just seeing them four-wheel drift this thing around a corner is, yeah, it's another track day car that we can add under our belt. So, yeah, I'm actually liking what I see out of this car. It is definitely a bit roller skatey, but hey, it's a track day car, not a Group 1, so you're not really going to get a whole lot of grip when you need it. Coming up into Druids, though, Santa is looking at Stumpy, and oh, it looks like they almost both binned it. My God, but Santa Miguel is still able to be up almost 0.08 of a second on the overall fastest lap. Both of them going pretty wide, getting back onto the track, though, heading up into Surtees for the 9th time. Looks like Santa Miguel lost quite a bit of that momentum he had, though. Will he be able to bounce back and try and scrounge something up? We've only got 2.5 minutes left in this qualifier, so they need to start getting it figured out pretty quick if they want that pole position. And it looks like Sheld is going to reign on top for the time being. And honestly, I don't even think Sheld's beat that time yet. So, oh, never mind. Corridor beat it. 46.687. So will Sheld have a retort for this? Coming up into the start-finish straight, what will it be? It is going to be a, nope, 47.323. Hondo comes in and makes it a 46.669. Nice. Going down into Druids for Sheldologist. Let's see if he can get this thing moving and carrying some more momentum. Getting onto the inside curve and running it out a little bit. Getting a little squirrely again, and he's up by almost 1.5 tenths. Getting a, ooh. Graham Hill is catching a lot of these drivers out. Leo, I'm having a lot of trouble here trying to figure out which corner is really doing these guys in, because one moment it looks like it's Druids, one minute it looks like it's Graham Hill, and next thing you know, it's Clark Curve right here. So is there anywhere on this circuit that this car actually feels planted?
Surprisingly, I think turn 1 is about the only one that it does, but even that can catch him off guard, because this thing does like to drift out far on turn 1, and if you're not careful and not paying attention, you'll be in the kitty litter quick, fast, and in a hurry. These guys getting on the curves is a little more brave than I would like to see. Getting on the curbs does upset this car quite a bit.
Speaking of, things sneaking up on you, I should quickly throw out that Sheldologist does lead the qualifier right now with a 46.593. Flemmo, you did some laps in this car as well. Did you have any of these struggles these drivers are having where this car just does not want to stay where it's going?
Well, I have a lot more struggles than these guys are having, but that's just through lack of practice. No, I mean, honestly, there's a couple spots, and I also did some ride-alongs, which I probably learned more during that than anything else. There's a couple places on this track where, if you have the right line and you can, kind of finesse it the right way, you can keep a lot of speed through some of these areas that your amateur drivers might not be able to find. So as you're watching, and I think we're on board with Hondo right now, that last turn is actually kind of sneaky. There's not a whole lot of places to get your brake mark from, so you got to kind of pick something in the surroundings to be able to know where to start braking.
Yeah. See, I think what's getting me is the picking out somewhere in your surroundings, because think about it. You drive this circuit with, Group 3, Group 4, the Maniacs do Super Formula on here, and you just have to change your braking zone so much. And yes, this thing does have a good amount of acceleration, but I think it could catch drivers out because the acceleration may be there with some of the faster cars. The brakes are definitely not. So, I don't know, given everything I've seen so far, I don't even think it's going to be a question of if somebody gets a commentator's curse. It's going to be a matter of when. And since I do the majority of the talking, I think I'm going to be getting burned at the stake after the broadcast. So it's been fun working with both of you.
You're feeling it, huh? Okay.
Oh, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it, Mr. Krabs. Now, it looks like that should be everybody across, and yeah, that is a very close qualifier. P1 and 2 separated by just about 0.08 of a second. So, yeah, we've got a race on our hands, and hopefully the drivers will remember that the racing mediums are the ones that are required. So you can have fun with your softs, but don't forget about the mediums. That is my subtle way of saying tire check. All right, now let's go and take a look at the classified qualifying results, shall we? So, taking the podium spot will be PHG Sheldologist with a 46.593. Coming in just a little over 800s behind, or 700s behind, is Hondo with a 46.669. Coming in 4,000ths of a second behind him is Santa Miguel with a 46.673. Followed by Corridor with a 46.687. Not even a tenth separating P1 through 4. That is an insane gap. Making our way down the grid, rounding out our top 5 will be Stumpy with a 46.957. Coming in 300ths behind him is IORT Fishtail, followed by Sugar Shuffles with the 47.129, and MK3TT SKR with the 47.181, so about 600ths of a second there. Followed by Krula with the 47.241, and Fernando Button with the 47.279. And rounding off our drivers for this evening will be Ars Arzilla with the 47.139. Barely over a second of separating these guys. We've got a race. We've got a very good race. This is going to be interesting. So, Leo, it's got active downforce or adaptive downforce, however you want to call it. It's the thing that the Veyron and all the other really, really expensive cars have.
Right.
It's got no grip. It's got good straight line speed. How many laps before we see Dirty Air really start claiming victims?
With as close as those times were, I don't want to say nothing because I don't want the commentator's curse either. So I'd say probably lap 3.
Slow-mo, do you think that Dirty Air is going to be a huge factor in this one, just given those times and how this car operates?
I do. I hope. I guess I'm positively thinking we're not going to see it for a little bit longer until you start to maybe see a little more tire wear. But Leo's probably not far off. You may start seeing some of the results pretty quick.
All right. Yeah, honestly, I'm going to be very optimistic. I'm going to be on the edge of my seat, and I'm going to have a cool beverage next to me, water, of course, to soothe the throat, because after this one, I think I'm going to be feeling a little scratchy. Now, before we get into the race itself, I do want to give an extra special thank you to Boyd Gaming for the $10 donation for Susan. Thank you for that, Boyd Gaming. The $4.99 donation from the Crawlers stating, "Well done, NRL. Good luck to all the competitors of Split B." And also the Bonks with an X with the $4.99 donations saying, "Good luck, y'all. Thank you guys so much for the super chats, the donations, the super stickers. All of it goes right here into the prize pool for the drivers, our hardworking production staff, and our stewards. And if you can't support us financially, your viewership is more than enough. We're just happy and honored to be able to entertain you every week while we have this season rolling on." Now, speaking of rolling on, are we about time to roll on? All right, looks like we need just a quick moment to iron something out. So, Leo, with this race, we've got the I see. This is actually gonna, if we do a driver of the day, this is gonna be really tough because next race is also going to be really close as well. Are we gonna even get a moment to catch our breaths during this broadcast?
No, we're not.
No.
It's going to be nonstop action. This race in particular, it's going to be a battle pretty much the entire time for everybody from front to back. With as narrow and as short as it is, there's going to be somebody somewhere where somebody else wants to be, and we're going to not have a chance to catch our breath at all.
Yeah. Slow-mo, are you in that boat too?
Absolutely, and you know, I mean, I've been looking forward to it. That's what we want out of these guys. You know, they're going to fight for space throughout this race, and like I said earlier, you know, that's what this race is going to be about. Is can you find a creative place to get by somebody? Can you catch somebody just leaving the door open wide enough? It's going to be, you know, again, the top four people were within a tenth. I was guessing the top five were going to be within a tenth. I missed it by one. You know, you're going to see an exhibition of some absolutely very skilled drivers here in just a moment.
Yeah, very skilled is probably an understatement for how these drivers perform and how these drivers, you know, conduct themselves in these races and in the build up to these races. I've stated it before, the NRL becomes a way of life for pretty much every single driver because it just consumes you. Practicing, trying to figure out the strategies, conferring with your fellow racers, trying to see, hey, do you think this would work? And, you know, trying to elevate each other into new heights. So, yeah, I think there's not enough words to describe just how dedicated these competitors are. And given the times that we are seeing, given the car, the track, the race duration, we're going to have probably, I'm going to call it now, we're going to have probably one of, if not the closest NRL race I have ever been a part of. So I'm going to not include the Saturday stuff because I wasn't commentating that. So my vocal cords got a respite there. But yeah, I think we are about to see some of the most intense racing action in NRL history. And then for those of you that have watched us for a while, you know what that means. It's only going to get more and more intense as we go on until all of us are on blood pressure medication because our hearts can't handle everything that is going on. So, Leo, hopefully you've got good insurance at your work because you're going to be needing some blood pressure meds.
Blue Cross Blue Shield. I think I'm covered.
No, that's not good.
Oh, well, then I don't know what to tell you.
It's not bad. USPS. It's not bad, Toon. It's okay. It's okay.
It's not bad, but it's not great. Honestly, this is shaping up to be great. I'm already at the edge of my seat, and this is just in the build up to this. We've got 11 drivers that are ready to just absolutely absolutely send it. And now we get to go and take a look at what their hard work gave them as the race begins just about now.
I think they're getting in the cars.
Getting in the cars? Sweet. All right, we have a rolling start for this one. Sheldologist will be leading the charge after valiantly taking P1, but Hondo is very close behind, so he'll probably have a score to settle, as will Santa Miguel and Corridor, as will the rest of the group. So, ooh, it looks like we had a false start, but it looks like there was no damage done, so thank goodness it wasn't any worse. Coming down into Paddock Hill Bend, it looks like Sheld will get a bit of a lead, as we saw one do a sputter rally crossing it. Hondo's already sending it up the inside into Druids. Will this pay off? No. Looks like Hondo will acquiesce the position. No, never mind. Looks like Hondo is going to try and shoot it up the inside on Druids, and now we've got a tug of war coming into Graham Hill. A little bit of wheel, and Hondo is already flying out.
No.
That is just unfortunate to see, but luckily there are 40 laps, and it looks like Hondo was able to get back onto the track without any real drama. That's going to be a setback, but I think Hondo will be taking that one in stride and getting back in. Let's go and take a look at what happened here. So coming down into Graham Hill, it looks like they just ran out of track, and you're right, Leo, those two wheels on the grass, and it pretty much lights out. That is unfortunate to see. Looks like we've got Corridor in the box at the moment as we jump on board with Krulov, who is definitely deep in the mix here with all these drivers. Coming down into Druids, and they're still pretty much bumper to bumper. Looks like coming into Graham Hill, Krulov will be trying to fend off Fernando, Sugar Shuffles, as well as Hondo. Wow, Leo, we've already got quite the start to the race. Do we count that as the commentator's curse?
Well, it was a lap earlier than we said, so I guess not. I figured it was going to be close, and it was going to be a fight for who wanted that position more, and unfortunately Hondo got into that grass and it just took the car away. That is the one downfall of this vehicle. You get anywhere near the grass here and there's no saving it, no matter what you do.
Yeah, I can definitely see what you were talking about. I also do see that Krulov is using every assist, and given the nature of this car, I think that's almost mandatory, just from everything I have heard about this thing. Also, that is a rather neat Tron livery for that. Huh. All right, so coming up into Clark Curve, Fishtail is breathing down the neck of Santa Miguel, who's also having Stumpy breathe down his neck, who's having MK3 Double T breathe down his neck, etc., etc. So these guys are still really close. It's anybody's game. The last couple broadcasts, we've said you don't want to make mistakes, but I think now more than ever, just given this race and given where these drivers are, you can't afford to make a mistake. Do you think that would be a correct deduction there, Slomo?
Well, we're going to find out, right? We saw the mistake getting two wheels in the grass after Leo warned them, and that, we know what's going to happen. A couple things to keep in mind real quick, Toon. So we've got Fishtail, MK3TT, those guys are on softs. Then Hondo, Sugar Shuffles is on medium, sorry. And then Corridor is on the softs. So you've got a few guys that have their softs. So that we saw Corridor go in to get them. So obviously he's playing a two-stopper, I would imagine, at this point.
Well, I did see not only a change in tires, but a change in lead as we have Fishtail and Miguel shoot up on the side of Sheld to take P1 and 2 respectively. So Sheld's going to have to find a way to claw his way back on that, but there is that tire difference. Getting a little squirrely, but it looks like Miguel got even more squirrely as Sheld is trying to just nudge up on Santa Miguel to try and get the overtake done. Coming up into the Clark Curve, ooh, he is getting pretty close to that. Actually, he was hugging that grass for a minute. So they're playing some dangerous games. So this is going to be a huge game of high risk, high reward, and hopefully they roll the dice and it comes up in their favor. Now coming down into Paddock Hill Bend, we've got Stumpy still breathing down Sheld's neck, but Sheld is not going to give him an inch. But it looks like MK3 is trying to take P4 off of Stumpy's hands, but will he be able to make it stick? Doesn't look like it. Looks like Stumpy was able to shoot up the inside of Drew's. Oh, he is four-wheel drifting, folks, and he is able to save it, and I'm going to go with traction control help. Yeah, those assists are pretty much mandatory with this thing, with how this thing's just handling. My goodness. So Stumpy's able to hold on to P4 for the time being. Lost a little bit of ground to Sheld, and it looks like MK3 lost a little bit of ground as well. Coming up into Clark Curve, and Stumpy is bunched right back on Sheld. My goodness, but that car is not wanting to cooperate whatsoever. So that's going to give MK3 Double T the opportunity to shoot up on the inside. And will he be able to make it stick? It's a drag race. MK3's got the lead just a little bit, but it looks like Stumpy is going to get the overspeed on the outside coming into Paddock Hill Bend. Yeah, we have some insane battling, and I think Stumpy and MK3 are going to be getting very acquainted with each other as they also try and get through Sheld for that last podium spot. So we've got what here? We've got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about a 6-car shootout for just P2 with how close these guys are. This is absolutely insane. Going into Surtees for the 7th time of asking, we've got Stumpy actually chipping away time on his personal fastest lap and getting closer to Sheld. It's really a lot of a yo-yoing effect that I'm seeing with Stumpy and Sheld. It's appearing that they've got some areas where the other is better than the other, but then there's others, like other areas where just one driver can eke out that edge, and it looks like Stumpy has been able to hold on to P4 up until now, as it looked like we saw MK3 Double T get the overtake done, but will it stick? We'll have to find out later. Jumping on over to Fernando Button, who's in a three-way shootout for P8 between himself, Corridor, and Sugar Shuffles. Fernando's tires are already showing quite a bit of wear, and probably due to that 14 times tire wear on those sports medium tires. A little bit of door bashing, but it looks like everybody got away unscathed. And coming up into Surtees, will Sugar Shuffles get a 2-for-1 special here? They are all over each other. That's got to slow them down at least somewhat. Coming into Clark Curve and onto the start-finish straight. Looks like Sugar Shuffles won't be able to get any overspeed or get a drag race for positioning this go-around, but hey, we can check again in about 40 seconds. If you take a look on screen, you will also see the live stream POV of Sugar Shuffles, who is streaming this right now. Feel free to boot up his stream. Oh, we had one go off. Looks like it was Fernando coming down Paddock Hill Bend. Let's go and take a look at what happened here. All right, so coming into turn 1, got Fernando coming in, barely missing the apex, and looks like he just understeered off right there, Leo.
Yeah, that's the downfall of this car. You try to give it to turn more, and it says, no, I don't think so. And I'm pretty sure I said earlier, it will do that on turn 1 if you're not careful and not paying attention. And it looks like it caught Fernando out.
It definitely did catch Fernando out. Now, one person who's not getting caught out right now is Fishtail. Looks like Fishtail is really running away with the lead right now. But for how long? Can't say with 100% certainty, because we've got a multi-car battle for P2 right now, as we also see MK3 going in and going purple for the first sector. Now, MKT is really trying to get to Santa Miguel. He was able to get the overtake on Sheld, get that to stick, but now he's got to get through Miguel to get that P2 spot, and then, since we're only a quarter of the way through the race, has to hold off everybody else for 30 laps. I don't know about you, Slow-Mo, but that's a pretty tall order if you ask me.
Well, don't forget, he's got a tire advantage going on. He took the softs in the beginning, so he's just really trying to get around Santa Miguel to see if he can maybe try and close a little bit of that gap to him and Fishtail. If I remember correctly, I think Santa Miguel was on the mediums, but don't quote me on that one.
That's all right. Honestly, tire advantage or no tire advantage, those soft drivers are going to have to do their mandatory run on the mediums. So it's not a matter of if, but when. So these drivers have to also think at least a couple steps ahead, if not an entire pit stop ahead. Looks like we've got Hondo trying to go up on the side of MK, or on Sheld, my apologies. It looks like Sheld just has a little more speed to hold him off. Stumpy's getting a little squirrely back there, coming into Paddock Hill Bend, and looks like Hondo just absolutely sends her. If you remember, about 12 laps ago, Hondo did spin out, and he's already clawed his way up all the way to P5. P4, I beg your pardon. So Hondo is driving like a man on a mission right now, and yeah, we are going to be seeing quite a bit of magic with this race, Leo.
Yeah, we are, man. I'm just taking note of all the tires on their tires. Those softs are starting to wear pretty quickly, and I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing the soft runners slow down just a little bit to conserve them. Because if it was me, I'd want the mediums and go as far as I can, just to stay out as long as humanly possible until I couldn't no more. Ooh!
A little bit of contact. Go ahead, Leo.
We saw Korg here. Those softs, like I was just saying, just ran out of braking room and then ran out of tire to stop and gave Shell a little bump there.
Yeah, Corridor's already made up that pit stop that he took. So, to be able to say he's already got the mediums checked off and he's running softs right now, I think he's got himself in a pretty good position considering, we're 13 laps in. Let's see how long those softs can go is the question I ask.
That is a really good question because those softs are showing about, half wear, and we're on lap 14. So, I mean, if for the extremely brave or the clinically insane, you could probably get 28, 29 laps out of the softs and then run the rest on the mediums. But given everything we've seen about this car, is it worth it? I'm really thinking it's not. So Leo, if you, I don't know, Leo, do you think it's worth it? Where would you pit if you were doing this?
I wouldn't stretch it that far. To add to that, Hondo just made it up into P3. He is a man on a mission after that unfortunate thing that happened.
Yeah, he is definitely driving like a man who is trying to bounce back, and honestly, he is. Honestly, if we see Hondo carry on at this rate, he'll definitely shave those 12.2 seconds, and we'll probably see a last to first in the NRL. And refresh my memory, Slow-Mo, have we had one of those? Because I don't recall ever seeing one.
Boy, that's hard to say. Maybe. Goodness, I don't. Man, I don't recall one off the top of my head, but you put me on the spot there. I'm not sure.
Yeah, my apologies. And getting word from production, we're not sure. So this might be a first if Hondo can keep this up. Will Hondo be able to make some history? We'll have to wait and see. Now, I do want to also quickly give a special thank you to some donators in the chat. Let's see here. So a special thank you to the Bonks, $1.99 for my blood pressure meds. Thank you. We've also got a $4.99 dono from Wicco stating Kofefe for the stewards. And we've got a $9.99 donation from Workman Racing. Thank you all so much for the generous donations. It means the world to every single one of us here. Hondo, I'm mesmerized at what he's doing, but I don't want to keep saying his name because I want him to carry on doing what he's doing, because it's him and MK3 right now for P2 and 3. Hondo is on pace to get past MK3 to take P2, and then the only thing he'll have to worry about is catching up to Fishtail. And yes, it's a 12-second gap, but at the rate that Hondo is flying around this track, it'd probably be another 10 or so laps before they're exchanging pleasantries again. Now, Hondo doesn't have the fastest lap at the moment, as that would be Corridor with the 47.088. Now, take a look at where Corridor is. Looks like he is right there behind Stumpy, but looks like he's also got Shelled and Krulov in tow. So Corridor Soft's not looking that great. I think he may have to pit. Well, these are sports tires, so what, Leo, in the next, 5 laps?
I would agree with that, about 5 laps. Me personally, it would have been at lap 20 probably, just because I wouldn't... Oh, we got someone spinning out. and they
Oh
are
my
P4
goodness.
now. It was Santa Miguel.
Oh, Lord. What happened there? So Santa Miguel falls down into P7 behind Shelled, and it looks... Oh, my goodness. Oh, he drifted it. Can he save it? No, he can't. And Miguel also has rear end damage, too. Let's go and take a look at what happened here. So coming down through Druids into Graham Hill. So takes the corner. Gets on up, and it looks like it was power oversteer? Yep. Looks like power oversteer just got him out. That is unfortunate to see, and that's heavy damage too, so he'll have to box to get that rectified. Hopefully it doesn't hinder him too much, but for the first half of that, I thought he was going to just completely drift it. I thought he held it. Now, it looks like Santa Miguel has decided to stay out on the mediums and the damage. Is that the right call? Only he can really decide. Jumping on over to MK3, whose softs are pretty much ready to call it a day. He's got Hondo right behind him, whose softs are probably also in that territory, but they've also closed their gap to Fishtail from 12.3 to 11.9 seconds. So they are ever so slightly catching up to Fishtail, but unless, well, no, Fishtail's going to have to box too. So I think we might be seeing these guys playing follow the leader, at least for the remainder of this race, if they keep this up. Making our way over to Corridor, who's probably going to have to box here in a second as well, unless he's going to try and push those tires to the absolute limit again, overcut. All right, so we've got Fishtail in, and it, actually, judging by the fuel gauge, Leo, nobody's going to have to get fuel, will they?
It doesn't appear so. This thing's actually pretty good on fuel. I want to say it's like a little motorcycle engine, so it's not super bad on fuel mileage. I think that's what it sounds like to me. But I don't think they will have to worry about fuel.
Yeah, I don't think they will either, but you did make a good point with the motorcycle engine. If I'm remembering correctly, these track day cars, they pretty much all run motorcycle engines, because I think the Mono has a Honda engine or something in it. Oh, and Krulov is rally crossing, but he's able to keep it pointed in the right direction, and it looks like it's not going to cost him near as much as it could have. So it looks like going into the pits, we've got Shelled, Stumpy, not Hondo? All right, no, not Hondo. Fishtail's back in the... Wait, Fishtail boxed to get on mediums and then just boxed again to get back on the softs. This is going to be a very interesting pit strategy from Fishtail. Slow-mo, do you think going the extra stop to just swap back on the softs when there's still, what, 18 laps left was the right idea?
I mean, honestly, we saw Corridor do it right in the beginning, so it might play out to be the move. Like we said, if the difference between the softs and mediums is a whole second, that can make a big difference when you're on such a short track like this. It
really can, and those seconds do matter, especially on a circuit such as this where the layout is so short. When you put it like that, yeah, it really does make a lot of sense, but it looks like Fishtail's already gunning it for Hondo again, so unless Hondo can hold off Fishtail or MK3 can slow down Fishtail, I don't know if he'll be able to really outlast the soft runner, because just looking at that acceleration right now, it's almost night and day, because Fishtail just got right up on Hondo again. Coming up into Clark Curve, will that still be the case? It looks like Hondo's actually going to let Fishtail through. So will Hondo stay out? Yes, it looks like he will. Maybe we might be seeing Hondo try and play tire life to his advantage, especially towards the tail end of this race. That's a valid strategy, right, Leo? Using your slower tires' extra life to your advantage?
Yeah, that's honestly a smart strategy. Let the guy in front burn up his tires so he has to go in the pit again, and you get to stay out because you are not pushing the cars hard and just doing your own laps. That's honestly a pretty brilliant idea from Hondo. Just let the faster guy go and see if he burns them out faster.
But what's getting me is, given the point at which those softs will inevitably fall off, Fishtail won't have enough time to go back into the pits. So, since we're over halfway through, those softs lasted about 19 laps. Fishtail pretty much has to ride those softs all the way until the end. And it's looking like this is going to be a huge gamble for not only himself, but for Corridor as well, who also got another set of softs. And Corridor, by the way, is almost 2/10 up on the overall fastest lap right now. And looks like he's in prime position to get an overtake on MK3 Double T and on Hondo if they keep slowing each other down. Because Corridor is right there, and honestly, enough slipstream will just slingshot him right past both of them like they're standing still. As I say that, it's looking like Corridor might be able to eke out P3 from MK3. No, it doesn't look like it, at least not right there. Coming down into Druids, will Corridor be able to make the move? Will he send it up the inside? And it looks like he does. Can he get it to stick though? Looking like it so far, and yep, job's a good one. So now Corridor has to worry about Hondo, who's doing a dynamite job defending, mind you. Absolutely masterful work. Coming down into Surtees, it looks like Hondo closed the door a little bit, or at least got Corridor to back off for a split second, but Corridor had a retort, and looks like he'll take P2. So we've got two soft runners that are going to be pushing the ever-loving daylight out of the car. Fishtail already has an almost 5-second gap between himself, Corridor, Hondo, and MK3. So at what point will these guys be meeting again? That's the burning question in the back of my mind right now, Leo. It's, when are we going to see these guys group back up? Because those softs aren't going to last. The mediums definitely will last, but will the soft runners have enough pace to mitigate the tire wear? So I don't know. There's so many angles here. Help me make sense of it.
Well, I'll do my best that I can. I'm going to say lap 35 is when we're going to see them all come together. Hondo's just going to do his own thing. Just, try to save those mediums as long as he can. Fishtail and Corridor are going to be pushing those cars to the absolute limit, trying to catch each other, but that will also wear their tires out a lot faster than they probably would like. And as we see Stumpy getting on the curve and getting a little squirrely, a little dangerous there, bud.
Yeah.
It's a toss-up, but I'm 100% positive we'll see them all match back up around lap 35.
Around 35? All right. I'm going to say lap 34. A nice even number.
Price is right, me.
Yes, exactly. Slow-mo, do you want to go 33? Do you want to go 36? Where are you thinking they're meeting up?
Oh, it's 37.
All right. So, I guess that leaves, I don't know, Fishtail takes 36, I guess. I don't know. But Stumpy just got the overtake on Hondo and on MK3. Nice little 2-for-1 special there on the softs. Those soft compounds are really starting to come into their own and start to really get some traction, at least in terms of race pace. As we see, Stumpy is now about 1.2 tenths ahead on the overall fastest lap that Corridor set. So now that I'm seeing more of these softers, and never mind, he's almost, actually slightly, almost a quarter of a second ahead of the personal fast lap. I think Stumpy's on an absolute heater right here. So coming on to the start-finish straight is going to be a resounding 146.812, 2 tenths up on the fastest lap. That'll be a bonus point for Stumpy as long as he is able to maintain that fastest lap for the last 10 laps. Oh my goodness, we're already on lap 30? Wow, this race actually flew by. So much going on. So as we look at Fishtail, who is currently 4 seconds ahead of Corridor, Stumpy, and the rest of the field, He's running a little slower right now. I don't know if that was just an angling thing or if he's trying to conserve his tires a little bit, but Fishtail definitely does have a comfortable gap between himself and the rest of the podium. It looks like Shell did get an overtake done on MK3 looking at the timing board. We can go and take a look at the replay in just a moment as we see Sheld coming down into Paddock Hill Bend. Got MK3 right in tow, and looks like Hondo is doing his best to keep up at the end. We have a yellow on the field. Wonder where that came. Oh, it looks like it came out over in Graham Hill. I wonder who did that.
I think Fernando might have gotten into the grass. Perhaps he ended up with a half-second penalty there, so I think that's where the yellow flag came from.
My goodness. All right, and moving on towards Clark Curve, we've got Sheld. It looks like he's actually, yeah, it looks like he's gaining ground on Stumpy a little bit, but I think we're moving into that point where it's going to be a game of cat and mouse. And Leo, one thing really just struck me. We are about 8 laps away. The cars are getting lighter. These softs are going to start, wanting to call it a night. What do you think is going to be the key thing to finishing this race with a lighter fuel tank and less grippy tire? Oh my goodness, Hondo saves it magnificently, but Krula will get the overtake done due to that little slip up. Now coming, oh god.
To answer your point, they're not doing what we just saw.
Yeah.
As the car gets lighter and the tires are less grippy, this thing's going to turn into a slidey mess.
Yeah, but that also raises the question of when hasn't this thing been a slidey mess? We've seen drivers absolutely drift this thing.
That's a fair point.
Yeah, so I guess it'll just be a little slippier than usual. I don't know how to classify it, honestly, because as you see coming out of Graham Hill where Sheld was, when you get onto that curb, your car gets destabilized. If you get too much of the curb here or clip the grass in Clark Curve and McLaren, then you'll drift the car. Honestly, I think if you just look at Paddock Hill the wrong way, you're gonna drift the car. So honestly, I think all these drivers should just become Formula Drift drivers after this, because they are keeping this thing definitely in control. But as we have 6 laps left, it is now lap 34, and looks like my guess was wrong because they are not all bunched up. So Stumpy is holding off Sheld at the moment, but has a 5.5 second gap between himself and Corridor. How did Corridor find that much pace? That is actually staggering.
Yeah, Toon, the other question to ask right now is, are any of these guys coming in for another stop? I don't imagine they are going to. I think they're going to push these soft compounds as far as they absolutely can in these next 5 laps.
Yeah, I was kind of like rolling the dice on that one in my head, thinking, okay, will we see somebody coming in pit, and then will we see them stay out? The two arguments that were running through my head were, well, if they go in pit, they'll have fresher tires. Cool. But they only have a 40-second lap. So that pit, if it's not just a straight bang, bang, you're out, then you pretty much cost yourself a lap. And there's just so much risk and reward to this that it's super hard telling, because not only do you have to factor in that pit stop itself, but the pit entry is pretty much like out of Le Mans, where you've got to, kind of bob and weave to get in there. But speaking of bobbing and weaving, we've got some drivers that are bunched up right now, and it looks like we've got Stumpy and Sheld currently trying to get around the back marker in Fernando Button, who had the unfortunate spin. Coming around Graham Hill, car getting squirrely for Stumpy. Looks like Fernando was able to keep it pointed in the right direction. Will Fernando be able to unlap himself? That would be a fun thing to see in the last 4 laps. Fernando's getting a good angle out of Clark Curve and onto the start-finish straight. And yeah, he's pulling away, so it looks like Fernando is going to try and make up for as much lost ground as humanly possible. And speaking of lost ground, it looks like Schultz having to make up for some lost ground himself with that deficit to Stumpy being just about half a second. Coming down Paddock Hill Bend. Ooh, Stumpy going really wide and kicking up a lot of dirt. That is going to cost him some time. Now, slow-mo with the downhill portion on Paddock Hill Bend. If you're on the green, do you still get the dirty tires or no? Because the way GT is, all 4 tires have to be off to actually get dirty tires. Oh, we've got door direction. Hold that thought, slow-mo.
Hold on.
Okay, so we've got Sheld getting the overtake on Stumpy. Then a little bit of door-to-door action, so it's all coming to a head right now in the last 3 laps of this race between Sheldologist and Stumpy. Coming into the start-finish corner, start-finish straight, I am so sorry. Looks like Fernando's still just doing his own thing and trying to just race his race as we've got a heated battle right now. Fernando goes off into the gravel, leaving the battle for P3 between Sheld and Stumpy to run unimpeded. Now it looks like we've got a fuel line on for Stumpy at the moment, and looks like the car's getting a little squirrely. That front left soft is gone. That back left soft is looking pretty gone. So at this rate, it's going to be a game of who wants it more. And did we just see another car go off?
Fernando.
Okay. Thank you, Slow-Mo. Thank you, production. And coming around into Clark Curve, Sheld has the advantage right now for the position, but Stumpy is definitely not going to let this one go without a fight. As they come across the start-finish line to start the penultimate lap, looks like Sheld will have about a 0.6 of a second gap. And coming down into Paddock Hill Bend with less grippy tires, it is definitely an opportunity to oversteer. And it looks like they're going to keep the car pointing in the right direction. Coming down into Druids, and it looks like Stumpy's right up on Sheld at the moment. And actually eking even closer. I'm so sorry. I'm trying to make sense of how they're doing this. Coming into Graham Hill, and looks like Sheld is not going to take as much curb as possible to minimize the risk of the shakiness of the car. Coming over into Surtees, and it looks like they're going to hold on in regular fashion as we start the final lap with Fishtail and Corridor taking P1 and 2 respectively. Jumping back into the battle for the final podium spot, looks like Sheld is going to keep holding on to P3 as they start the final lap. Coming around Paddock Hill Bend for the last time. Will anybody give way? It doesn't look like it. They're going to hold on, and going into Druids. Looks like Sheld is going to hold on. He's going to take all that curb on the inside. Stumpy also getting a lot of the curb on the inside. Stumpy getting a little squirrely, though, as they move into Graham Hill. Will they keep the car pointed in the right direction? Will somebody falter? Doesn't look like it. Sheld took a lot of that curb on the exit. Now going into Surtees, Stumpy is doing a make-or-break effort right now, trying to shoot it up on the inside, but it looked like Sheld was able to keep the door shut, as we also see Fishtail come across and take P1 in valiant fashion with Corridor coming to take a P2. The battle for P3 is now coming to a head. Will it be a drag race into the start-finish straight? No, does not look like it. Sheld was able to hold off Stumpy, but just. That leaves Krulov in P5, and it looks like we'll have MK3 take a P6 with Santa Miguel in P7 and Hondo in P8. My goodness. Sugar Shuffles will take P9, and Fernando will round out our drivers for this one. Oh, lordy. Oh, sorry, had to catch my breath there. Whew. That was a finish to a race. That was a proper finish. So congratulations to Fishtail, who gained 5 positions and took the overall race victory. Now going and taking a look at the provisional classified race results, we have Fishtail take a P1 with the overall race time being 32 minutes, 26 seconds, .515, followed by Corridor close behind in P2, followed by Sheld in P3, who had a very valiant battle with Stumpy for that last podium spot. Stumpy, might I add, did take the fastest lap of the race with the 46.812, so that will be a bonus point to his race winnings for this evening. Rounding out our top 5 will be Krulov, followed by MK3TT-SKR, Santa Miguel, Hondo, who had a very, very good run at taking a last to first, Sugar Shuffles, and then Fernando Button rounding out our finishers. My God, that was action-packed. I honestly don't think the grid really fanned out up until the pit stops really came rolling in. Did it fan out sooner than that, Slow Mo, or was that really when everybody kind of started getting breathing room?
No, I think you nailed it. I mean, like we saw the high racing IQ of Corridor to get those mediums out of the way, boom, hit a pit stop, and then kind of shuffle back up through the field, get himself back into P2. But to your point, once we started seeing some of those guys drive some more laps on mediums, it seemed like the soft guys were able to really kind of chew them up. So it seemed like the longer you could be on the soft compound, the better off you were for today's race.
Yeah, I thought the soft compound was going to be the really risky one, but it looks like that risk really paid off for a lot of these drivers. Leo, what do you think of what we witnessed?
Well, it's about what I was thinking. It was going to be close the entire time. I was thinking there would be more lap traffic in the way, maybe with the guys on this short of a track, but thankfully that wasn't too much of a problem. Uh, but nevertheless, it was nonstop, which I absolutely love, and I know everybody else does too. So I'm glad it was. There was no bad things that happen, really bad things. So
Yeah, no real carnage points or anything like that. It was a yeah, that was a terrific race. And my goodness, that was I don't know, I'm still trying to check my pulse on that one. Hold on, what's my watch saying? Okay, it says my heart rate is about 118 BPM. So yeah, that was a good race. All right, now making our way over to our finisher or our podium finishers for this, we have IORT Fishtail. Fishtail, how you feeling after that one?
A little bit sweaty.
Yeah, so you were like right in there for the entirety of the race. If it wasn't you versus Sheld, it was you and Hondo, it was you and really just insert driver here. Uh, did uh, did you ever stop and think, okay, this is getting to be a little too much, or were you calm, cool, and collected the entire race?
Well, it was being in VR. I've got no delta on the track, so I kept my radar. I did not want to turn it onto the larger scale and see if there was somebody there. I couldn't see anybody in the short radar, and I just kept hoping for the best and not wanting to let that get on my nerves. So I was actually better off in that case being VR and not knowing for sure.
Uh, yeah, I honestly, you being in VR, I would not be able to do that. I'd be looking over my shoulder all the time. So you're a braver man than I am. Slow Mo, any questions for Fishtail?
Yeah, awesome race. Congratulations today.
Thank
That was so much fun to watch. Tell us a little bit about your strategy. It didn't look like you stayed on the mediums very long.
Not at all. No. Every practice I did, it was like I was able to turn really close to a 32 overall race time by running. Basically, I ran one extra lap on my first stint this time. I had been doing basically 18 or basically 19 laps and then turning 20 on soft at the end. But I I definitely had tried the mediums early on, and I just was not finding the pace. And the pit stop was so short with only needing tires. It mathed out. My biggest concern was definitely if I was going to catch back into traffic, and I was amazed on that first pit that I came back out in first, and I got really fortunate on that second pit to come out where I did. Really, a pretty straightforward race, just basically hitting your marks and not making any mistakes. So.
Yeah, that was really well done. So congratulations, Leo. Over to you, sir.
hey, congratulations, Fisto. I think this
Thank
was what, the second week in a row that you've been up here, if I remember correctly.
No, no, no.
No,
Last week I
no.
missed it. Mr. Sugar
Oh,
Shovels took it away.
oh, that's right. That's right. Okay.
Oh
I know
yeah.
you were close. I remember that. Did you have any difficulties with this car when you first got into it?
Absolutely. It was basically one where if you were really super easy on the brakes, easy on the throttle, just let the car basically like you're doing major tire saving all the time, and it acted well. But the second you push the tires too far, it took you a little while to recover. I mean, I found that early on and did a lot of practice with teammates, and definitely shout out to my teammates for doing some practices with me and helping to push me and let me kind of find those limits in crowds and stuff. But that was really the key, is to not push them too hard.
Yeah, agreed. That's the one thing I noticed as well. Well, again, congratulations. Awesome racing out there.
Thank you, man. It was definitely a
Yeah.
great time.
Fantastic work. Do go get yourself something to drink, get yourself a snack, get whatever you need, and hopefully you will be excited to watch the Division A race and also see what you will be up against in round 3.
Will do. Thanks again, guys. Great job on the comms too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Fish.
All right, making our way over to our P2 finisher in Corridor. Corridor, how you feeling after that race?
Hello, Toon. I'm still very sweaty. Talking about BPMs, mine was about 150, so you can imagine. I'm just recovering at the moment, but was a nice race in the end.
Yeah, it was a fantastic race. So run me through the beginning of the race. So lap 1, you go and you pit, and you get onto the soft tires, and then just pretty much ran with it the rest of the race.
I got 2 sets of soft tires. I pitted in lap 1 because I didn't want to use the mediums at all. I had no pace on mediums, so with a very short pit stop and the difference in my lap times between mediums and softs, I said, okay, I'll pit 2 times and go for 2 soft stints. I just didn't expect so much traffic, but it is what it is.
I can definitely see where you're coming from. Yeah, that was just great race awareness, and honestly, with a track that small, I think traffic is always going to be a factor. Leo, do you have any questions for Corridor?
Yeah, congratulations, Core. It's been a minute since I've seen you up here. I think the last time was in the trucks when you and it's getting away from me, but you and somebody else went side by side, so it's good to see you back up here. I'm gonna ask you the same question I asked Fishtail. What did you find difficult about the car when you first hopped into it?
How easy it is to spin on the car. Especially when you put even one tire on the dirt, it's game over. So the very first moment I used the car, I knew that I had to avoid the dirt at all cost, even if it cost me time and it cost me not to use the whole width of the car. But anyway, I'd rather play it safe, and that's it.
Okay. Well, again, congratulations. Slow-mo?
Yeah, Core, well done, man. I really loved watching the race IQ out there at its best. You're like, you know what? I don't have it on the mediums, and I'm just going to run a quick lap and go ahead and jump to the softs. You mentioned some of the battles that you had through traffic, and you know, I felt like you really were able to kind of cut through traffic pretty well for those guys that were on mediums. You know, is it that big of a difference going from the mediums to softs where you can pretty much drive by people on out there?
Sorry, I lost you for a second.
Oh, I was asking the difference between the mediums and softs. You know, was it that much easier to maintain your speed through the turns on the softs than it was for the medium drivers, making it that easy to move through traffic like you did?
Yeah, for me, there's definitely a big difference between mediums and softs, like 1 second a lap. But I don't know, when I was behind some very hard and clean defenders, I have to say, I just couldn't pass. And it's the second race in a row that I have to waste a set of soft tires behind guys in mediums or guys with very worn out tires. Because I don't know, the circuits are not very easy to overtake, or I should plan my strategy different to see less traffic. I don't know. I need to analyze the race and learn from this one, and hopefully one day win an NRL race.
Yeah, well, it was well done. I mean, to be able to take a pit stop right off the bat and then end up with a P2 is certainly something to be happy about. So, congratulations on that, Corridor. Go enjoy your evening there, sir.
Thank you, guys.
Have a good night, Corridor. That was fantastic work. And yeah, I'm sure we'll be seeing you in the winner's box in the near future with the rate you're progressing.
Bye.
All right, making our way on over to Sheldologist. Sheld, how are you feeling?
I'm all right. A little disappointed. I felt like I had no pace on the first stint on my hards. I was about 3/4 of a second shy of what I was running in practice. So probably should have altered strategy halfway through the race or at the beginning of the race. But shout out to Fishtail and Corridor for running the soft. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Well, I thought about running it, but thought about running it for fewer laps on the softs, but I didn't really have a whole ton of opportunity to run extended stints like that on softs.
I gotcha. So, run me through the race. You were just shoulder to shoulder with pretty much everybody for 99% of that race. You had MK3, you had Hondo, you had Corridor, you had Fishtail, you had everybody under the sun. Um, Given the nature of the track and also the nature of these cars you were driving, how difficult was it to defend?
I didn't find it difficult to defend because the natural line of the track is kind of a defensive line, especially with this car. You really need to let it roll through the corners, really need to get it stopped in a straight line. And that's why I kind of started on mediums, because I figured if people behind me were going to start on softs, they were going to use up their tires quicker trying to get past, and then I would have the tire delta in the second stint. But turns out Fishtail and Corridor pretty much had the exact same tires for me for the last 20 laps. So
Yeah, it was that was an insane race. I don't know how you managed it. Slow mo.
Yeah, Shell, great race. Congratulations. You're becoming a frequent flyer here on the NRL podium. So, congratulations on that. Tell us a little bit about the last couple laps of that race and how you were able to kind of sneak yourself into third.
yeah, so I was kind of closing down on Stumpy through that second stint. Started about 2.7, 2.8 seconds behind. I kind of just chipped away, and then he threw down. I believe he threw down the fastest lap on lap 28 or whatever it was, 29. And he pulled out a little bit more of a gap. I slowly closed in over the next 10 laps, and then we ran into lapped traffic, and luckily didn't affect me as much as it affected Stumpy. But I just took he came slow out of the left-hander there, and I just kind of stuck my nose, got it side to side with Stumpy, and had the inside line where it's impossible to hold the outside on the left-hander there going into the final corner there.
Yeah, that was certainly fun to watch. But way to keep it exciting at the end, as you guys always do. Congratulations there, Leo. What do you have for Sheldo?
Thank you.
Sheldo.
Well, congratulations, Shell. Good to see you back
Thank you.
up here.
Thank you.
How much time did you put into this practice for this race, and what were some of the difficulties that you came across?
Not a whole lot. It's been pretty busy the last 2 weeks. I wish I would have had a little bit more time this week to be able to dedicate to figuring out a strategy. I really didn't have a strategy. I just kind of knew that mediums would last about 23 laps, and I was kind of pitting a little bit earlier than what I wanted, following Stumpy into the pits at the end of the first stint on lap 21. I think I in total put in, I don't know, 300 kilometers worth of drive around this track in the last 2 weeks, which, yeah, not a whole lot.
Okay. Well, life happens. It's busy
Yeah.
time. But hey, you're still up here, so congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time, Sheld. you go and definitely relax. Get yourself a beverage and a snack because Division A should definitely be edge of your seat as well for you watching at home.
Yeah, I smell the hot air popcorn maker downstairs. My wife just made for the B or for the A race, so it should be interesting.
Oh, sweet. Then yeah, go get some. Don't let us hold you.
All right, thanks guys, appreciate it.
All right, and with all of that said, we're gonna jump to a break, and then when we come back, we will come at you with some Division A action. So you as well, go get a drink, go get a snack, call your mom, do whatever you need to do, and we'll be back at you here in a few minutes. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everybody, to the NRL Season 6, brought to you by DGDR, Hankey's Tavern, Little J CPA, Lithograph Comics, and the Mist Chronicles. We had an absolutely intense race for our Division B drivers, and now let's go and take a look at what the rough idea of those standings is looking like right now. All right, so looking at the provisional Division B standings. Oh. All right, looking at the provisional standings for Friday Division B, we have Sheldologist leading the charge with a resounding 43 points. That puts him 6 points ahead of IORT Fishtail, who has 37. We have Corridor rounding out our podium for the overall finishers on Friday with 31. We've got Krulub in P4 with 28, followed by Sugar Shuffles rounding out our top 5 with 20. We've got Stumpy in P6 with 13, followed very closely behind Hondo in P7, who's got 12, who's actually tied with Santa Miguel. The only tiebreaker between Santa Miguel and Hondo is the overall race time, where it looks like Hondo might have the edge at the moment. Making our way over to P9 in the overall standings, we have MK3TT SKR with 11, with Strict 9 rounding out our top 10 with 4 points. We have Fernando Button in P11 and tied actually for P11 with Zilla, both with 1 point apiece. It's honestly anybody's game. We're only on round 2, so expect those standings to shake up even more as the weeks progress, because we still got a couple more rounds and it's going to get even crazier. Now, enough dwelling in the past, let's go and take a look at the now. And now we have our Division A race coming up. As a quick recap for those of you watching last week, or just to inform you, those who missed our last broadcast, we are at Colorado Springs in the Ford Mustang Group D rally car. They're on there for 22 laps. There's no tire, no fuel, because this is a rally circuit. The initial fuel will be default. It'll be a grid start with a false start check. BOP will be off. Brake balance and torque distribution will be allowed. And there's going to be a 10-minute qualifier for this race. Making our way over to the point standings, and once again over to Slow-Mo to enlighten us as to how this works.
Yep, thank you so much, Toon. As you saw there with our B Division guys, the race winners can accrue points to get them a position in the coveted finals there. So the winner of today's race is going to get 25 points, second place with 18, third place 15, and you see the rest down the line from there. If they have a fastest lap and they're in the top 10 for the race, they can also get an additional bonus point there. Top 14 overall finishers are the ones that are going to be able to move on into the finals for their days. So, that's after round 3, Toon. So we've really only got one more after this.
Yeah, you've got a good point. That is totally my fault. Now, making our way over to the driver lineup for this Division A race, we have Alicos 1, Bells, Chief Apollo 11, the True Serum, Flux Flare, IORT Asriel, Jorge Sr., Moose 21, Negative Waves, PHG Shaggy 88, S7R's Wid, Talon, Twitch Hako 1337, and VIP Player. Once again, listed next to their names are their Twitch and or YouTube presences should they be applicable. Feel free to go and check out any of the channels listed here, see if they're streaming, and be sure to say hi, but make sure when you do to leave this tab unmuted so you don't miss any of the racing action. I hear Dirt Track, I think season 3. It was the Ford Raptors, and I think it was Fisherman's Ranch for that one.
I think you're right. Yeah.
It was.
We had side-by-side jumps, and I don't know, that is just peak door-to-door racing when you were literally going over jumps together and safely landing on the other side. So if that is anything to go off of, and given the NRL's history, it definitely is. We are in for some insane racing with these Mustangs, as it looks like we've got drivers doing their outlaps right behind us. So let's go and take a look on field at what's going on. All right, so we have Hawko 1337 doing some pirouettes at the moment, but is able to hold on to it. I think that was just for show. I can't really say for 100% certainty. He is quite like the Stig, as nobody can really comprehend what goes through that man's head. So as Hawko is getting his bearings on the circuit, this is a very twisty and turny circuit, as is the nature for... Okay, now it's just showing off.
Yes, he is.
What was that? A 1080? The man is just absolutely sending them right now. But this is a very twisty and turny circuit. So Leo, obviously momentum is going to be a huge key here. And since you have some knowledge of dirt track racing in the real world, is there any nugget of information you could impart on us as to how this works and why people enjoy dirt racing?
Well, you know, it's a little bit different than what I'm more partaking in. I'm more of course, oval dirt track racing. So it's more of, I only got to worry about going left. This is going left and right. But some of the same things can apply. You want to set the car up going into the turn, making sure that you're not getting it too much of a slide, because then you can't get the traction that you need to pull yourself out of the corner. As we can see, we just got, who's this Wid revving the daylights out of it, just trying to keep it under control. Staying off the grass is probably the biggest thing. There is no traction there. These tires are designed to be on the dirt and gravel more than grass. Grass turns into pretty much glass, and you have no traction, no steering, and as he smacks a couple of walls, unfortunately, from that.
It looks like slapping the walls didn't really slow him down too terribly much. And so these dirt tracks, track limits just aren't a thing, right? So you can literally take this however you want.
Correct. I don't know of any dirt tracks on GT7 that have track limits, because I don't think there is any. Yeah, I can't think of any time that I've ever seen a track limit infringement on a dirt track race. So, yeah, I guess it's... I think the only one is Catalunya, but that's more of a rallycross. I think that's what they call it.
Yeah, that's the rallycross layout. That's a fun layout, by the way, especially in this car. So, as we take a look at Negative Waves, who's jumping back into the pits, just doing a cursory glance at the overall qualifying times, it looks like Hawko's currently got the fastest lap with a 1:19.464. That puts him over 3/4 of a second ahead of ADR Buyer Kid, who is, I'm getting word, is Moose. Thank you, production. I was very confused for a second there. So ahead of Moose at the moment, but Jorge also throws his hat into the ring and gives himself about over half a second gap between himself and good old Moosey boy. And Moose is just really dancing this thing around the track. He's not even lifting off the throttle whatsoever. It's just foot to the floor and kind of dragging it. I really didn't expect that. I figured with a dirt car like this, you'd want, to really lift and coast it, but you know what? Shows what I know. And as he does a beautiful side to side on that, that was very well done. Using all the camber 40 to him and drifting it around, and he's still got a point in the right direction. He's carrying quite a bit of speed to boot too. Drifts in it early. I'm starting to get how the dirt cars work. Oh, and a good clattering of the wall to Jorge on that one. Luckily, no damage, and he's able to get the car pointed in the right direction again, so all is well. But yeah, I guess that's one thing these drivers will have to be pretty cognizant of, is just when that wall is going to sneak up to you. So yeah, drifting off and just a big bash on that wall. Unfortunate to see. My goodness. So, Slow-Mo, have you done any track time on this circuit, or really any dirt circuit?
Yeah, all of them. I love dirt racing. You know, I'm a Subaru guy at heart, which, you know, look, can we talk about the elephant in the room for a second? This is a Mustang rally car. That is not something you see every day. How cool is that? You know, I know there are some Mustang fans out there who are probably like, you know, Mustang Chuck, or, you know, some of those guys are freaking out. They're like, oh, what a great combo. And it is. It's a lot of fun to get out here. You know, the times that you're seeing here are going to be exceptional with these guys. You know, there is kind of another elephant in the room, and that is, can anybody catch Hawko? You know, we're going to expect the field to run in the, you know, low 120s. Hawko's already got himself a 119.4. So if anybody can get themselves down near him, I will be impressed. So we're going to have to see how that plays out today.
Yeah, honestly, with the pace Hawko is showing right now, anybody that's able to keep up with him, especially once the race itself starts and they're able to, you know, get into the rhythm, as long as they can stay in Hawko's taillights, they're probably going to be pulling away from the field quite a bit. And these Division A drivers are definitely no slouches, so it's really going to be a coin toss on who's going to walk away victorious in this one, if not, you know, rounding out our podium. I don't know. Dirt track racing is something we never see that often in GT, so I can't really speak with 100% confidence on it, just because it's such an unknown. It's a wild card, and like, we got Alicos shaving a quarter of a second, and given just the speed at which these cars are traversing, that quarter of a second could honestly just be from hitting one of these multiple corners just right. So it's appearing, at least on the surface, that this is going to be either a race where everything will go smoothly or everything is going to fall apart. And I don't know, I can't wait to see how this transpires. Leo, did you do any practice in this?
I did, actually. Not as much as I would like to, but I did get a chance to hop in a couple of lobbies, and I don't know how these guys are pulling it off, because I couldn't get this car to cooperate with me at all. It's a lot of power. Most of your rally cars, like Slow-Mo Subaru, is a 4-cylinder turbocharged engine. This is a big old V8 with a supercharger slapped on it, so it's all of its low-end power, and it's just, as you can see, these guys are just staying in a gear and not really wanting to go into any higher gears or anything like that to slow down their momentum. As we see a beautiful slide.
Oh, I thought Negative Waves was about to get a very warm welcome from that wall.
Yeah, this is a very dangerous portion of the track. You come around that corner and you're not ready for it, you will smack either one of the tire barrier there or the pile of wood.
Yeah, and I think a pile of wood is going to hurt a whole lot more than a tire barrier. But I am seeing what you're talking about. Everybody's kind of just revving the daylights out of one gear. And I think they're also trying to unsettle the car as much as possible to make some of these corners. Ooh, Azrael got real close to that. Oh, and Azrael spun out. Looks like he got a little too close to that. Ooh, and a very, very near miss from Azrael and Flux Flare. That could have been disastrous, but thankfully nobody got caught up in that. I'm also noticing that the lights are getting rather dim, so this is going to add at least some sort of complexity to all of this, since there are no street posts, it seems, no lamps or anything like that, so they're going to be literally riding by their headlights. And honestly, anybody's driving in VR, hats off to you, because I I don't know how you're going to be able to see anything in this. This is going to be an absolutely insane race. So we jump on over to Hako, who is just drifting it like it's another Friday night. Just coming in and absolutely sending her. I'm also trying to pay attention to the wheel motions for a lot of these cars, trying to see how they take it. Because in like a road car, you've got to have a little bit of delicacy. Everything that I've been seeing as Hako goes and sets another fastest lap at a 1:19.204, everybody's really just sending it. It's either the car straight or the car is pretty much locked at one end or the other. It doesn't appear like there's any in between on it. So I guess if you love thrashing cars around, you're gonna love rallying, because that's all they're doing, as Hako gets quite a bit of air there and is just dancing around this. Asriel is getting into a good flow right now. Looks like Hako's down a 10th on the qualifying time. So making his way into the sweeping left-hander. Yes, right-hander. And getting really close to that wall and donutting across the line. Huh. Actually just made me think of something. I don't think there's going to be any yellows for things like that. Whatever. So making our way to the classified qualifying results, we've got Hako leading the charge with a 1:19.2, followed closely behind by Jorge Sr. with a 1:19.483. Rounding out our top three for the qualifier is going to be S7R's Wid with a 1:19.849, followed close behind by Moose with the 1:19.907. Running our top five is going to be Negative Waves, followed by Chief Apollo in P6, Alicos in P7, The True Serum in P8, Darkened Asriel in P9, followed by Flux Flare rounding out our top 10, with Talon and VIP Player rounding out our starting drivers for this Division A race. You know how we normally do a race and slow-mo, you'll normally chirp in and say tire check?
Right.
Would there even be a point in saying tire check? Make sure you don't have snow tires on or something?
No, not really. I mean, it's dirt tires required, so everybody's running that. So I got an easy job on this one. I get to sit back and enjoy.
Yeah, and you also get to lose your collective mind with us, because this is going to be absolutely insane. Leo, do you got any predictions for this one?
Maybe we'll see an upset. I'm hoping to see it, but somebody's probably going to run away with it, and we'll see who it is. But it's a high likelihood we all know, maybe. But
yeah,
for the rest of them, it's going to be close racing, especially if these guys. I hope these guys have practiced enough on the dirt, and there's going to be some argy-barginess. There's going to be some tapping. It's dirt track racing. It comes with the territory.
Honestly, in terms of practice, I think dirt and, the one snow track, but, that's just snow on light or dirt on light mode. You pretty much have to practice it, because we never get enough opportunities in the game to actually use it. The closest thing we have to a dirt track is Willow Springs in the daily races right now. So it's one of those, like, we had the week off in between round one and now, but you're still gonna have to put in as many reps as humanly possible, just because it is unfamiliar to so many people, unless you have like some sort of league where you guys go and do dirt track races in random cars and you call it, I don't know, Mudfest or something. If anybody takes that name, I want a percentage of the proceeds. That is the Toon original.
Well, that or you're the guy that goes out and just sets world records for fun.
I wouldn't be so. Who is it? Jetta Racing, I think, does that over in the time trials, where you get like where you're gonna get like 2 million credits or something. Yeah, I think that's, if there's a dirt track equivalent to Jetta Racing, then yeah, there's probably a good handful of people that just go and see what they can get around the fastest. And honestly, hats off to them. If you enjoy dirt track racing, by all means, keep dirt track racing. I don't get the appeal to like dirt circuit racing. Now, if it was like a rally, okay, yeah, fine, that's fun, that's great. But like the dirt circuit, I don't know. But I digress. Slow-mo, do you have any concrete predictions for this one outside of cars are going to go sliding all over the place?
Yeah, I mean, one concrete prediction. This is going to be a battle for 2, 3, 4, 5 to get on the podium. I'm like I said earlier, I'm curious to see if anybody is going to be able to keep up with Hako. He has certainly talked a big game this week, and he has done his prep work. So we're looking forward to seeing if he can bring home the results as he's predicted.
Yeah, we're going to just have to wait and see. It is dirt track racing. It's one of those, it's in his wheelhouse, but this is the NRL, so it's in a few drivers' wheelhouses. Like we saw what Moose was doing, we saw what Jorge was doing, we saw what Wid was doing. So it's really anybody's game. And we're going to have to see how this plays out as we get the grid start underway. Everybody is gearing up to get as many points as possible. The lights are coming on, and it looks like we've got a false start. Oh, a massive false start. Was that Moose? All right, so Moose with the massive false start, and they are underway. We've got Hako right leading the charge right now with Jorge Sr. very close in tow. And yeah, it's already bumper to bumper right out of the gate. Hako is trying to hold him off at the moment, and it looks like Jorge is trying to line up a good shot to get the overtake in. And it looks like Hako is getting as close to these barriers as possible. It seems like going for the widest possible line is actually the way to go for this. Headlights are on these cars as we are underway for our second round. And it looks like Wid is right up on, looks like Wid is right up on Jorge, and Negative Waves is right in tow. And it looks like that false start really cost Moose, because I don't even see him in the top 8 right now. So we got Talent over in P9. Looks like Moose has jumped back to P10, 11 with VIP player right there in tow in P12. So we've got plenty of overtaking opportunities here. Let's see what happened here. Yep, it looks like Moose just had really the false start of the century on that one, and everybody started hitting the walls, bumping into each other. It was a car crash from the moment everything went green with these guys. It's off to the races they go, figuratively and literally, Leo.
Yeah, indeed, man. Unfortunately, in rally racing, you get a group of cars. Oh, we see VIP Racer go around, unfortunately. Just got the car angled too much, and back end came out.
Yep. But luckily, he's able to get himself pointed back in the right direction and get back into the race. I think that clean air will help VIP player kind of gather themselves, because they can get into the rhythm, and then everybody will just start bunching up there soon after. But speaking of bunching up, we've got Wid with quite the lineup ahead of him to try and overtake, because he's got Jorge and Hako ahead of him. But he's also got Negative Waves rather close by, as we've got all of them pretty much doing synchronized drifting at this point coming around this circuit. It's really a sight to behold. It's almost hypnotic with how these guys are just shifting the car back and forth slow-mo.
It is, and it's all about the momentum, kind of like a pendulum. You got to swing it one way and then let it go back the other. So, when they, like you said, when they get into their rhythm, that's when you're going to see these guys really start to put on a show for us, as they are right now.
Yeah, and I don't even think a show is like the right term. It's more of like a spectacle or an experience. It's like the Cirque du Soleil for racing. Just seeing these guys dance around this circuit. It's mesmerizing. It's unsettling at times with how close they get to the wall. But by God, is it entertaining. As we see Chief Apollo trying to catch up to Alikos at the moment, getting pretty close and just absolutely slingshotting that car around the corner. Going full 4 wheels to the side, and looks like Alikos is able to hold some sort of a gap for the time being, but looks like Chief Apollo just closes that gap immediately. Alicos is able to get back on the throttle, and I think they're going to be pretty much neck and neck for a little bit. That gap's at about a quarter of a second, but they can't, they can't rest on their laurels too terribly much, especially because we got Moose right there, and Chief Apollo now has not only Alicos to defend against, but he's got Moose, who dropped down to P10 and is really flying up the grid right now. So taking a look here, and looks like we just carried more momentum. So Chief Apollo is currently holding off 1, 2, 3, actually about 4 cars behind him. So Leo, this is a really interesting position to be in, especially in a dirt car where defending is probably at a bit of a premium right now.
It definitely is. You want to make sure that the guy can't get around you, but you also don't want to slow yourself up enough. Ooh, and as we see Moose ever so slightly making ground up on Chief Apollo there. I'm just trying to make sure that these guys are not going to just absolutely send it into one another. Is a spectacle to see. As we see Moose might be able to get around Chief Apollo, and he does. Chief Apollo went too wide and got into that grass and didn't have enough traction.
And it looks like Chief Apollo was able to actually carry a little more momentum at that one. So when they're side by side like that, is it door to door, or is it just a rallying bump draft? Because it looked like Chief Apollo gave Moose that bit of an extra nudge forward, and now Chief Apollo is trying to defend on a super slippery. Oh my goodness, as Moose almost hit the wall. So it looks like Chief Apollo is going to be able to run away just a little bit for right now, and that's going to bring Alicos, Asriel, Truth, et al. Into the fold here for some battles for position. And Truth is currently trying to get the overtake on Asriel. Looks like he's got quite a good position to try and make it work. As we've got Asriel getting close to the barrier, hugging the wall a little bit, and it looks like the way he's got his car position, never mind, I was going to say it looks like the way he has his car position would be able to force Truth to back off, but that is not the case. So Truth is able to get the overtake on Asriel at the moment, but with how close they are, that is definitely subject to change. Now looking at Truth trying to catch up to Alicos and take P7 off his hands. He's really carrying as much momentum as he can. A little bit of argy-bargy there, but that is the nature of dirt racing, so really not much that can be done about that. So yeah, with Truth getting as close as he is to Alicos, if he can get around him in the next couple of corners, he might be able to build enough of a gap to pull himself away from Alicos and try and chase down good old Moose. Truth getting very close to that wall though. Let's be careful there, folks. And coming in around the bend, Alicos taking a shallower line, I guess? And yep, it looks like Truth is able to kind of kick off of Alicos to take P7 and start trying to chase down Moose. Now, Truth and Alicos are both really vying for position right now, but the question is, are they going to catch up to Moose, or are they going to slow themselves down too much, and we're going to have Asriel and Flux really get the overtakes done? Making our way up into P2, we've got the good old rivalry between Jorge Sr. and Wid unfolding right now. We've got Jorge going close to the tree line and just trying to maximize as much of the track as possible. Looks like Hako's got about a 2 3/4, almost 3-second gap ahead of himself and Jorge at the moment. So he's not really having to worry about too terribly much, but with how Wid and Jorge are duking it out, it's probably going to be a 4-way or probably a 3-way shootout for P2 if Negative Waves catches up. And at this rate, it's looking like that is a good possibility. Jorge is currently pulling away. He's got himself about a 1 1/4 second gap between himself and his dear old rival Wid. So that's probably got to feel good for Jorge at the moment as he tries to close the gap between himself and Hako to just 1 1/4 seconds. So I don't think Hako's going to be able to really run away as much as he anticipated, or as really many of us had anticipated. And honestly, Leo, with how this is looking, do you think we'll see a three-way shootout for the race lead here in a minute?
We have the possibility to. I've noticed the time come down from Hako to Jorge Senior. He's cut that time down a lot. I don't know if something's going on with Hako, or I'm not sure.
I'm not sure myself. It's quite the curious thing, but actually looking at the gap between Jorge and Wid, I think Jorge just caught up. I don't think Hako's really lost any momentum. I think Jorge was just able to shake off Wid and really get into a rhythm. It might honestly be that torque distribution, because that's something that we never really fiddle with in races on Gran Turismo. So it's kind of a dark horse in this race when you really think about it, because that torque distribution, well, obviously it just distributes the torque, but what that means, I'm not 100% sure. Leo, what does it mean?
So, torque distribution, since these are four-wheel drive cars, you have the opportunity to change how much power goes to what wheels. So if you want all wheels to distribute power, you have the opportunity to do that. Or if you want more towards the rear, you can do that as well, between a 50-50 split, 45, 85, and so on and so forth. It really depends on your driving styles, what you would want to set it up for.
Okay, so see, when you were explaining it, my head was kind of translating it into how four-wheel drive do you want this four-wheel drive car to be? Do you want
exactly
four-wheel drive? Do you want front four-wheel drive, back four-wheel drive? Like, I had to dumb it down for myself to try and comprehend it. Was I at least on the right track there?
You are correct. You want all-wheel drive, all the tires have all the power, or some of them.
Okay, so how four-wheel drive do four-wheel drive this car four-wheel drive? Got it. Try saying that 5 times fast, folks. Now, Chief Apollo does have quite a bit of a gap between himself and Negative Waves at the moment. 9-second gap, to be precise. And Chief Apollo Moose are really slugging it out right now. That gap's about a half second. Moose is trying to catch up. Chief Apollo is trying to hold him off. And yeah, I mean, great battling right here between these two drivers. Chief Apollo is just really using as much of that camber on the track as he can. Slow-mo, they're making this look too easy, but in reality, it's just so hard. What are your thoughts on what we're seeing so far?
Oh, no, you're absolutely right. They are making it look easy. Like Leo said earlier, this car is not the easiest thing to glide around this track like this, and they've turned it into an art form here for us tonight.
An art form in its purest essence. Oh, Chief Apollo clipped a tree branch or something there. That really slowed them down. Now, I think a lot of these drivers at home are watching this in awe, but let's not forget, no matter how this shakes up, a Ford will finally win a race. So we can all celebrate that. That's something to feel good about. Now, jumping up into the battle for P1, Jorge is about a little over a second ahead or behind of Hako. He's got about 2.25 seconds of a gap between himself and Wid. And it looks like Negative Waves is kind of in a realm all of his own at the moment. And given just how momentum-based this style of racing is, I think that's probably one of the best places you could be right now, because you could just let that momentum carry you for a good portion of this race. Now, Jorge is trying to close that gap, but it looks like it's a game of tug-of-war at the moment. Hako's definitely got some of these sections down pat, but Jorge is able to close the gap on others. Wid appears, at least on the timing board, to be getting into a rhythm himself, so we're not even halfway through this race at the moment, and it's already looking like we're going to be seeing some people meeting headlights least in the relatively near future. Jorge going up almost 900th of a second. So if he can carry that momentum, which, I mean, this is a momentum-based circuit, so it shouldn't take much. Jorge will be able to get the fastest lap on the board, and, oh. I don't understand dirt racing enough, Leo.
Well, guess he kind of just unfortunately lost a little bit of time there. Maybe he got the car angle wrong. Started getting too much of an angle and lost a bunch of time there.
Yeah, it is looking like he did lose a good bit of time there, but somebody who isn't losing some time here is Chief Apollo. He is right up on Moose's bumper, and it looks like Moose is trying to do everything he can to pull away at the moment, but I'm not sure if he's going to be able to get that comfortable gap that he's looking for. And the tug-of-war nature of this slow-mo, what do you think is going to be the determining factor on whether or not you can actually solidify your overtake?
Well, you know, for the driver in front, they're trying to make sure they're hitting that apex and taking up as much track as possible. The guy in back is going to have to, you know, push some momentum into that turn, be able to keep his speed up through the exit, and really force his way through in some of these situations, like we've seen some of these guys. And, you know, it's not necessarily door banging as much as it is just a little nudge once you sneak in there. So keep a close eye on this battle, especially because he's going to have to make some room for him to get by Moose up ahead of him.
Yeah, and one person that we are neglecting to mention, though, is Truth Serum. Truth is less than a second behind Chief Apollo, so we could see a three-way bout for P5, especially with the rate these guys are just dancing around the circuit and kind of getting close to each other. I don't know. I think Truth may have a good opportunity to get one, maybe even two overtakes if he's really methodical about this, just out of these two drivers. Now, it looks like Truth does have a very comfortable gap between himself and Asriel at the moment, about a 7-second gap, actually over 7 second gap to be precise. So Truth doesn't really have to worry about the car behind him like Chief and Moose do, and all he's really got to do is focus on the car ahead, which does at least somewhat ease the mind. But as we see Truth, you know, getting right up on Chief Apollo. Oh, wow, he actually got a beautiful overtake done on that. Well done to Truth Serum for getting that to stick. Oh, and it looks like Chief Apollo has a very witty retort of his own. His VIP player is having a picnic at the moment. So Chief Apollo had an answer for Truth's overtake. Will Truth have an answer for the overtake that Chief had the answer for? And he does. All right, these guys are going to be duking it out, and Chief Apollo has the answer for the answer, and you get my point. So Chief Apollo is back in P6 to start lap 13. Truth is trying to figure out what he can do to keep Chief down, and Chief is probably thinking the same thing right now. Coming into turn 1, and looks like Chief is holding a lead at the moment, but it looks like Truth carried a little more momentum, and he's going to get the overtake done for... No, he's not. Looks like just by a wheel arch he's got the lead. All right, now Truth is getting the overtake on Apollo, and I think that may have done it. I think that was the solidifier. So Truth can sit at P6, but all of that battling between Chief and Truth put 8 seconds between them and Moose. That battling slowed them down that much, and I've never seen a battle slow down a car or two cars that much, slow-mo. It just beggars belief.
Yeah, you know, when you're sharing the track like that, and you're trying to really get this thing sliding and carrying all that momentum through the turn, you're going to be a little bit more cautious when you've got somebody right next to you. As you know, obviously these guys are top notch. They don't want to take anybody else out or end somebody else's race. So they were being, wow. There is plenty of action here. So, you know, just watch carefully as we watch Alcos making a move here on Dark and Asriel.
Yeah, Alcos is trying to line up a good shot to get the overtake on Asriel as they start the 14th lap. It looks like Alikos is eyeballing a couple opportunities. Asriel's trying to keep a tight line to, you know, try and deter any overtaking. And it's seeming to be effective at the moment. Now, car's getting a little squirrely from all the hops, and I think that might be Alikos' sign to get the overtake done on Dark and Asriel, and it looks like it was. But given what we saw earlier between Truth and Chief, it's only a matter of time. The gap between Alikos, Asriel, and Chief Apollo is about 5 seconds, so if there's any more intense battling from P6 and 7, we'll be seeing 4 people battling it out. Alikos is starting to pull away from Asriel. They're getting their car sideways in magnificent fashion. And coming up into the uphill bank, making our way over to Flux Flare, who is currently 8 seconds behind Asriel and about 4 seconds ahead of Talon. It looks like he's really just having a comfortable lap at the moment. Now, Flux Flare is making his way through the forest. Man, it is so dark. I don't know how they're doing this, guys. And yeah, he's found his rhythm. He's just trying to hit his apexes and try and, you know, kind of shrink that gap just on overall pace. That uphill section does slow the cars down, so the gap between Flux and Asriel is about 8.5 seconds at the moment. Coming his way up into turn 1 and not taking the tighter line I've seen some of the other cars going, so I think that tighter line really is just for the defensive maneuvers. And coming in to the bit of a, what I call that, like an S. Yeah, he's holding it nice, getting close to the wall, and about 3/4 of a second off his fastest lap. Looks like Talon is trying to catch up to Flux at the moment. You can definitely see the headlights of Talon in Flux Flare's rearview mirror and vice versa. And so with Talon currently moving around the track as he has, he is trying to get that gap closed, but I don't know. This dirt track is just making it really difficult for these drivers to really flip into a rhythm and kind of carry that momentum forward, just because they have so many different factors, be it the little hops in the road, the abrupt lefts and rights. I don't know, Leo, this is a tricky bugger. I mean, on paper it looked real easy, but seeing these guys actually get into the nitty-gritty of this race, it's shaping up to be a lot more difficult than anticipated.
Yeah, Toon. It's nature of dirt track racing, especially rally-esque racing. I mean, these guys are doing it in the dark. They've got blind corners now that they've got to contend with. They're pretty much going off muscle memory. And one wrong move, I mean, you're losing a bunch of time or going into a wall. So it's a ever-changing type of circuit, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from with the ever-changing circuit. It seems to be one of those, especially with how the sun was setting, it was shaping up to be one of those races where no 2 laps were going to be the exact same, and I think I'm seeing what you mean by that's the nature of dirt track racing, because I don't think I've seen anybody hit like a bang on same line as the last lap this race, like you would see on, you know, a tarmac circuit. So oh wow, hold on, that gap between Jorge and Hako is now was under a second, so there is a good opportunity within the next 5 laps for there to be a battle for P1 between these 2 drivers. Jorge is doing everything he can to really stay within earshot of Hako, because there's really no slipstream. Yeah, there's no slipstream on dirt races, right, Leo? No. Okay, thanks so much. Yeah, I know it was a dumb question, but that's just how unfamiliar I am with dirt races, that I knew there was no tire wear. I knew there was no damage, but I wasn't sure if there was anything else that may have snuck its way in there. Now, it looks like Hako is going to get around the back marker in VIP player, and it looks like he's built himself a bit of a gap now, 1.5 seconds, but Witt is actually around that same time behind Jorge. So it looks like everybody's in kind of the same boat, and it's almost as if the race is kind of hitting a stalemate for these podium positions, Slow-Mo.
Well, Tim, one thing to keep in mind, if you look at the fastest lap, it's currently held by Witt. So, I know Hawko expected to be able to run away with this, but there are 2 drivers right behind him that are not going to let him have this for nothing. If he makes a mistake, Jorge and Witt are right there ready to take over that P1 position. So the top 3 drivers had put about a 10-second gap in between them and Negative Waves in P4. So these top 3 guys are really putting some good times down.
Yeah, they're putting down some fantastic times. And it's mesmerizing to me that they're able to drive at this level. They're able to push the car to the absolute razor's edge, and just given where they are on the lap board, and yes, Witt does have the fastest lap at the moment with the 1:19.081, almost 1:18 territory. But just given how these guys have kind of raced each other into a stalemate, it's like they're all on equal footing, fundamentally, because they're all basically doing the same thing. Now, on track, yes, there is a gap, but the gap really hasn't moved all that much. So it's pretty much just a battle of equals on the podium, and it's going to boil down to who's going to either have the perfect lap or who is going to botch it. And given with how these drivers are going right now, it's probably going to be the former over the latter. So I think the real advantage is whoever gets that perfect lap. Jumping on over to Moose up in P5, who now has a 14-second gap between himself and Detruse here, but an 8-second deficit between himself and Negative Waves. It's looking like a pretty comfortable territory for Moose. P5 got a good amount of points right there, and still plenty of time to try and close a gap. Got 3 laps left in this race, and Moose is just getting as close to the barriers as possible. I think all those hours playing the EA WRC game really are starting to pay off right now. One thing we haven't touched on, though, is what are the hands of these drivers feeling like right now with all this force feedback and just how jolty the force feedback model of this game is. And Leo, you're one that runs your force feedback cranked all the way up. Like, what do you think they're experiencing right now trying to keep this car just moving in the right direction?
Well, for those guys with the direct drive wheels, they're probably pretty beaten up, pretty bruised, not bruised, but red from all the bumps and everything else. And I would hope they turned it down before getting in here. For all those that are on a 923, everybody around you is now deaf because of all the clickety-clacketing. Yeah. Other than that, yeah, these guys have got to be starting to feel the fatigue of it with how much those direct drive wheels give you in force feedback.
Yeah, and that's also something we didn't really think about, is the overall fatigue of these drivers from this, because you look at it and it's like, oh yay, dirt track, we can go thrash cars around for about a half hour. But we're not taking into consideration that those on a direct drive wheel, or those even on 923, or even a Thrustmaster TGT, I think it's called. I think that's the one Flawed has. Like, you're still getting all of that resistance in trying to drive this car around, and you're kind of getting that recoil from either your belt, your direct drive, your gears, whatever you may have. And I think the only people that would be able to do this without any sort of recoil are people that drive on a pad, or people that use that bungee cord Ferrari wheel you can get at Walmart for like $60 for the Xbox. Now looking at Jorge, who's closed the gap down to just half a second. He is dangerously close to being able to overtake Hawko for the race lead. If Jorge can keep this lap running the way he is and keep that momentum carried in the fashion he is, he might be able to get a good battle for P1 on the final lap, no less. So this is going to be a very interesting situation for both Hako and Jorge. Wid is about 2 seconds behind, so Wid is still within earshot if these two slow each other down too much. Jorge is doing everything he can to carry on, and looks like Hako is just really closing that door every opportunity he gets. Trying to pull away at the moment. The gap is moving more towards the 1 second. That might be the torque distribution coming into play there. Jorge is trying to close that gap yet again and get back into that half-second gap between himself and Hako. He is absolutely sideways trying to get this car around the track. Going sideways yet again. It looks like Hako is starting to slowly move away. I think this might be the part of the track that Jorge might not have the most confidence in, as Wid and Hako are both really making up some ground now. So we've got Hako coming up the hill for the final time. Jorge coming up for the final time. It looks like not going to be seeing any real changes there as they move on towards the latter half of this lap. It's do or die time for Jorge. Will he be able to catch up to Hako, or will he have to defend against Wid for the last about 500 yards of this circuit? And Hako does some pirouettes across the line, take P1, and it looks like Jorge comes across in P2 with Wid in P3, and they all meet and give each other a very manly champions hug with their cars. Negative Waves will be comfortably and confidently coming across the line in P4, and looks like the same will be true for Moose in P5. That leaves us with Truth, who was able to pull away from Chief Apollo after that long and arduous battle to take P6 in confident and exuberant fashion. Yeah, this was a very interesting race. We saw people get momentum. We saw people did Chief celebrate too early? Oh no, Chief, get across the line. Go, 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 go. Oh. Tooted his own horn a little too early there. Alico's almost got it. All right, now we've got Azrael coming across the line, and that means we'll have Flux Flare in tow here very soon. And it looks like the only one now is Talon, and Talon just absolutely sending it around here. These cars really took no prisoners. Oh my lord. So let's go and take a look at the provisional classified results for this race. So taking the race victory will be Twitch Hako 1337 with an overall race time of 29 minutes 25 seconds, 0.706, followed by Jorge Sr., who was very close to being within contention of getting the battle for P1 underway. And rounding out our podium is going to be S7R's Wid, who also had the fastest lap at a 1:19.081. And judging from the other times, that is a blindingly fast lap. Making our way down the order, we have Negative Waves and Moose 21 rounding out our top 5, with Truth in P6, followed by Chief in P7, who definitely had a good battle with Truth that entire race, and almost, due to a premature celebration, lost the P7 to Alicos, who came in P8. Making our way down the order, we've got Darkened Azrael with P9, Flux Flare rounding out our top 10, followed by Talon and VIP Player, who unfortunately was down 2 laps to round out our drivers for this race. Well, Slow-Mo, what do you think of what we witnessed?
Oh, that was fun to watch. I mean, man, those guys, like you said earlier, it was almost like, drifting together through that track and then changing positions at the same time while some of them were doing it. So much fun to watch those guys battle through that race tonight. Really awesome. And honestly, it was a much closer race than I think a lot of people could have expected there. So, Hako had his hands full through tonight's race.
Yeah, without a doubt. I can't wait to get his thoughts on everything. But looks like we have our top 3 drivers for this evening. So let's start with Wid. Wid, you had a very intense race. How are you feeling after all that?
I'm tired, but I'm happy. I couldn't really ask for much better than that. I was hoping for third, and I got it. So, maybe if Jorge and were like battled a bit more and they both crashed each other, that was kind of my best case scenario. But other than that, I'm satisfied.
So yeah, I mean P3, especially in a race like that, is no easy task. So well done on that. I do have to ask, just given how the track was, how the car was, how the force feedback model was in like GT7, how are your hands feeling and how did your wheel like take all of that abuse from the race?
Hands are fine right now. They might be sore tomorrow, but actually, it was more my braking leg because I was just super tense on that the whole race. So I think my left thigh is gonna be what's really sore.
You know what? That is 100% fair. Leo, got any questions for good old Buddy?
Yeah, actually, I do. Congratulations, Wid.
Thanks.
My question is, have you done much rally racing in Gran Turismo 7 before?
I've done enough. I mean, more than some, less than others, but I really enjoy it. So when I heard the combination, I was really excited. I knew that it wouldn't be that. I didn't think I'd win, but I was really excited to race. So yeah, it's good.
Yeah, we kind of touched on it in the broadcast. We don't see too many of the rally races come up, so it was exciting to see that you do like them and that you actually placed where you wanted to. So, congratulations again, Slow Mo.
Wid, congrats on the P3 finish. You really put a great showing down. Came out of that with the fastest lap, even. So, at times I know you were trying to close on Jorge. You mentioned if him and Hawko could have battled a little bit more, that might have given you a window to jump in there. So, well done. I don't know that I have too many questions, but that was a well executed race today.
Thanks, I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm super stoked to get fastest lap. That's absolutely my personal best. I mean, I beat my personal best like several times in that race. So I was really happy. And I just ended up kind of yo-yoing back and forth. Whenever I'd run a low 19, the next lap I'd run like a 120 and just fall back again. So it really takes a lot of consistency. And Jorge and Hawko had that in spades.
Yeah, well done. Well done. Great show.
Thank you.
Yeah, congrats on the P3 there, Wid. Get the ice pack ready for your braking leg, and hopefully you'll be excited to see what you guys are up against in round 3.
Appreciate it. Thanks, fellas.
All right, making our way over to our P2 finisher in Jorge Sr. Jorge, how you feeling?
Yeah, I feel good. Happy with a P2 under the circumstances.
Glad to hear it. So it was a tricky race. No mistakes about it. When you were doing your practice for this race, what were some of the key areas that you realized you needed to focus on and iron out as soon as possible?
Well, I mean, I probably done like 10 laps of rally prior to practicing for this. So, just figuring the whole thing out, really. I mean, you kind of think you get it, and then you go watch people who are much faster than you, and it doesn't look like you're doing much different, but the times say otherwise. So, yeah, I mean, it's really had to start from the ground up, and then obviously Wid is always fast. So then the goal is really just no mistakes. Got to kind of get up to Wid's pace and then not make any mistakes at all if you want to stand a chance. So that was it. I was really that whole race. I was just thinking no big mistakes, keep the gap kind of where it's at if possible.
I understand. Yeah, you definitely did a good job keeping that gap where you needed it to, and you really made it look easy. Honestly, you did. It's just the later we got into the race, the more it was like, okay, this is definitely a lot harder than it looks. Leo.
Congratulations, Jorge. Good to see you up here.
Yeah, thanks.
What were some of the hardest things that you had to learn going into this? Since I take it as you're not much of a rally person.
I think it's just a fine line between sliding the car too much and sliding it the right amount, you know? So it's easy just to chuck the thing around and get it super sideways in every turn, and you're going to be 3 or 4 seconds off the pace. So you kind of, to me at least, it feels like a fine balance. And then, yeah, so that's pretty much it. I mean, it's pretty straightforward, honestly. It does. I mean, in terms of the race itself, it's one thing to do a few fast laps here, but then I found it was very taxing to like kind of keep the it's so different than, you know, driving on a circuit, just to keep your concentration for 22 laps without sliding the car around too much, making big mistakes. I mean, it really, I mean, I had to be so much more focused than I usually would be.
Yeah, I noticed that when I was in the lobby with you for that split second. I was trying to toss it around like I was on a dirt track here in my hometown, and that didn't work too well. So I'm amazed that you kept it up for that long, and 22 laps of that. It's insane. But congratulations again to you, Slow Mo.
Oh yeah, Jorge, congratulations, well done. You know, P2 behind Hawko, that was certainly exciting to watch. How did you like the Mustang?
Yes, fun car. I mean, I like the few other. I went to kind of prepare for the race. I drove what is it, the circuit experience on the same track in whatever that Ford is. I think it's like a Focus RS. I mean, those real rally cars seem much more planted and fun to drive. But yeah, Mustang's cool.
Yeah, very good, very nice race. I mean, you know, I know some people weren't sure if it was going to be close or if it was going to be a blowout. You guys kept that very interesting. So well done on your P2 finish tonight.
Yeah, well, thanks. I have a feeling Hawko's going to say he was driving with his hand behind his back. So that's probably the only reason it was close, to be honest. So we'll see. Anyways, yeah, thank you.
Congrats, Jorge. Yeah, go rest, go relax, and hopefully you'll be chomping at the bit to see what you guys are up against in round 3. Have yourself a good night, man.
All right, thanks. You too.
All right, now it's time to go and talk to our race victor, Hawko 1337. Hawko, it has been a while since we have seen you in a booth like this. How are you feeling after that race?
Pretty good. Yeah, it was fun. I don't know. It's nice to do rally races like that. Just, yeah, have like a bunch of people that are all rallying at the same time. And especially at night, it's that much harder because once you turn sideways before the corner, you can't really see the corner anymore. So you have to kind of like memorize everything in the dark and just kind of know where the track is. That's like one of the things that the guys were talking about with like consistency and just like, yeah, they would run a fast lap and then be a little bit off here or there, right? And that's just because they're seeing the track at a certain point at a certain angle going into the corner, and then they're predicting where the car's gonna end up. Plus, like feeling out the cars, you're like sliding into the corner down the hill and stuff like that. But yeah,
I got you. So my question for you is, since we had the torque differential, how much time did you spend fiddling with that to try and get it into that sweet spot for you for this race?
I normally run 50-50 all the time, just because the car's more square. It kind of understeers a lot more. Like it's a different way of driving. Like with 40-60, you kind of drive the car straight and you let the rear rotate for you. The more you use the rear torque differential, and then like 45-55, it's kind of like a little bit slidey, and then 50-50, it's more locked. So you slide the car before the corner, and then you get a lot of understeer before the corner even happens, and then the car bites really hard, and then it understeers, and you have to turn back into the corner and drive the car straight. That's how you like get really fast exits. But you also have a lot of risk, especially when you go into that downhill corner. If I brake and the car doesn't turn, I just understeer like crazy into the wall or the barrels. So it's a torque differential where it's like you full commit and you just full commit every corner the entire lap, rather than using like a 40-60 where you kind of like use throttle control and you're a little bit softer.
Okay. Oh, okay, that actually does put all of that into perspective, and it does help make sense of what we were witnessing. On over to you, Leo.
Congratulations, Hako. It's good to see you back, man. How excited were you to see this combination come up?
I thought it was awesome. And then I saw it went to nighttime and it was even better. I don't know, it's nice, like the lights and just like the difficulty. Plus, like you look up at the sky and it's just stars and you're just cruising around a rally track. And like for me, that's just, you know what I mean? I'm just enjoying the moment, being like, this is awesome. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. For me, seeing all the headlights, right? And seeing like headlights behind you at nighttime, you're always looking in your mirror. And like I was looking at my mirror more than I was probably looking ahead of me. And like Jorge was there the whole time. Like him and Wid did a great job. Like I could tell that they practiced and they yeah, they tried really hard. And they drove really well. And they were really consistent. And especially Wid with the fastest lap. But yeah, I could tell Jorge put in a lot of work over the last 2 weeks. And I saw like, I don't know, like I kind of watched a little bit here and there and spectated them throughout the weeks. And yeah, I noticed like the improvement slightly here and there, you know what I mean, over time. And then I'm like, okay, I'm like, yeah, these guys came to race, right? And they were ready to go. So yeah, it was awesome. And especially like at the start, it was kind of like really, really close. We were like side to side, like through the first few laps. And like that was really intense. But yeah, and it was probably more intense for the guys because they said there was a little bit of lag. But yeah, my bad for that.
Nice. Well, again,
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thanks,
I'll kick
guys.
it over to Slow-Mo.
Yeah, well, congratulations on your victory. Welcome back to the podium here at the NRL. Obviously, you're no stranger to that. You've been here before, so it was so much fun to watch. I think there was a chance that it could have gone a different way, but like you said, your competition put in quite a bit of practice and certainly made sure that you saw headlights back there in your rearview mirror for the entirety of the race.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about, some of the keys for some of us amateur drivers. What are some of the things that, I know you mentioned momentum and kind of swinging it around like a pendulum, but what are some of the keys to really making sure that you're successful over 22 laps through a race like that?
Just minimizing mistakes. Like I noticed once I chilled out and I stopped pushing the car so hard because I wanted to like try to run the fastest lap, right? And just try to run super fast, consistent laps. But like I was over pushing the car and overdriving the car a little bit. And then once I relaxed a little bit and tried to remember like, yeah, just chill. You know what I mean? Just flow with the car. Then everything was a lot better and everything was more consistent rather than trying to break at the very last second and trying to really like risk everything, like going through corners and stuff like that.
Yeah, very well done race tonight. Looking forward to seeing how the next one goes. So congratulations on your victory tonight.
Thanks a lot.
Yep.
Yeah, guys.
Congrats, Hako. You have yourself a good rest of your night. You go relax and I guess get ready to go see what you're up against for round 3. Thanks for your time, man.
Thanks a lot. Have a good night. Take care.
All righty. And with all of that said, it is time for us to take our final break. And when we come back at you on the other side of it, we will have the standings for Division A as well as the reveal for round 3 for Friday's Division A and B. So sit tight and we'll be back at you here in a few minutes. All righty, everybody. Welcome back to the NRL Season 6, brought to you by DGDR, Hankey's Tavern, Little J CPA, Lithograph Comics, and the Mist Chronicles. We have had an intense set of races tonight, and let's go and take a look at what the Division A standings are looking like. So, looking at the provisional... So, looking at the provisional Division A standings for Friday, we have S7R Wid leading the charge right now with 39 points, followed dangerously close behind by Jorge Sr. with 38. We have Alicos 1 rounding out our top 3 right now with 33, followed by our race victor for tonight, Hako, with 30. We've got Moose rounding out our top 5, followed by Chief Paul with 19, VIP Player with 17, Negative Waves with 16, The True Serum with 15, Talon with 13, followed by Asriel with 8, Flux Player 7, Bells 3, and actually tied with Shaggy Doo for 3 points. So we still got another round of racing. Anything can happen, anything will happen. So we'll go and have to take a look at what is going to be coming in that round 3. Okay, so we are going to Le Mans. Oh, this is going to be a fun one. All right, so for Division B, we are going to be at Circuit de Sarthe, aka Le Mans, in the Red Bull 2019 competition. Our Division B drivers will have racing softs and racing mediums available with none required. It'll be 10 laps. That's going to be a long one with 3 times tire, 2 times fuel, a refuel rate of 3 liters a second. You are going to be there for a minute. We have heavy damage. It'll be a 10-minute qualifier. And our weather is looking like it's going to be sunny, then cloudy, then rainy, then rainy, then rainy. So with that being said, at least it's a grid start with a false start check while it is clear out. Brake balance will be allowed and the bop will be off. This is going to be... Well, there's no bones about it. This one's more than likely the kitchen sink round for this season, Leo.
Yeah, it is. Very fast car, lots of downforce on a very long track. I can't tell. It is the no chicanes. So there's going to be some high speeds going down that backstretch and a very sharp turn, which hopefully nothing bad will happen in. And then you throw rain on top of it in this thing. That's going to be crazy and fun to watch and fun to commentate.
Oh, without a doubt. Slow-mo, what are you thinking about this combo?
You know, I love this combination. It's interesting that there is no combination, no requirement for the tires. That is going to be fun to watch these guys, and obviously the weather is, like you said, that's the kitchen sink. That car can be very tricky to handle when it gets slick.
Yeah, and I mean, slick is going to be an understatement because it's rain number 8 at the end of it. It's going to be a torrential downpour, so yeah, this is going to be very, very fun to watch. Now let's go and take a look over at our Division A race. What would be just as vicious as that? Oh, that definitely is.
More rain.
More rain. Okay, so our Division A drivers for round 3 are going to be at Tokyo Expressway, and they will be in the McLaren VGT Group 1 car. They will be doing 19 laps on 4 times tire, 4 times fuel, heavy damage. It'll be a grid start with false start check. BOP will be on with brake balance allowed. It's going to be cloudy number 6 times 2. Then it's going to be rain number 5, and then rain number... Oh, it's going to rain like crazy. 10-minute qualifier and slow-mo. I mean, which rain race you taking, this one or Le Mans?
Oh, wow, what a tough choice. I would probably personally take this one. I bet you there's a lot of the McLaren fans out there that are like really excited to see how this one's going to play out. That's going to be fun to watch. Both of those are just, oh man, that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, this is going to be a great one. Leo, what are you thinking about this?
It's great, except I'm not a big fan of the car. I've driven that thing before, and it is a handful and a half. I'm excited to watch it and see how they get around here, but that's going to be something crazy. I'd rather take the Division B race.
Oh, where's your sense of adventure? It's torrential downpour on Tokyo Expressway. Nothing could go wrong. Everything's fine. Everything's great. All right, but with all that said, this brings the end of the festivities for tonight, but make sure you tune in tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. British Summer Time, 10 a.m. Pacific Time for round 2, where Flaw Genius, Tati, and T-Case will give you some intense commentary over some equally intense racing action, so make sure you do not miss a moment of that. Alrighty, we have had quite the show, and it looks like next round's going to be even more intense. So we're going to definitely need to rest our vocal cords and rest our heart rates for that one. So until next time, you can find Slow-Mo over here on YouTube, where he streams whatever he feels like, primarily GTA Golf. You can find Leo over here on YouTube as well, streaming iRacing, Gran Turismo, Satisfactory, and anything else that might pique his interest. And you can find me over on Twitch, where I'm doing something that I decide the day of. Thank you all so much for being here tonight. It's been an honor and a privilege to have your company. And please be sure to tune in tomorrow for the Saturday splits. And until next time, stay safe, stay well fed, take care of yourself, stay cool, stay warm. And we will see you all in the next one. Bye-bye for now, and go Mariners.